if you don't wanna be on camera, we kinda go back to where the podium's at, so then you won't be on camera, but. Okay, let's do the pledge.
Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Director Nyman.
Here.
Director Schomburg.
Here.
Director Garcia.
Here.
Director Gibson.
Here.
And Director Kelling is here. Do we need to adjust the agenda any? Uh-oh.
No, I think it's good as it is.
Director Schomburg?
I think it's okay.
Okay. Public comments. Anything that's not listed on the agenda, and please limit your comments to 5 minutes. To say anything?
I have questions about the pond, and if somebody was to get an agreement with the county to drill a well, say, there and pump water, is that a problem for you guys? Do you guys need to sign off on that? Is it in your district? How would that function?
Yeah, it's within our district, and the district policy is no wells within the district itself. But I think the only real hurdle, I believe, the board would have to approve it, but there'd have to be some type of engineering study to say that it wouldn't affect the downstream well that we have, that water supply, if he had done that. But that's what Tate Ranch is not in our district, the old Tate Ranch, but that's how they keep their ponds full, is with a well. So somebody would have to come up with the money to do that study with an engineer that everybody trusted, and then the board would have to vote on it.
Okay, and I was reading over an old grand jury report and the board's response. Is the board currently working on any projects with in reference to the pond?
No.
No.
No, the county has not approached us in any way, shape, or form. When the pond first went dry, I went over and had a meeting next to the pond, and you know, the people that were angry about the pond were all there in the news and everything, and that's the last I've heard from anybody. They even did some type of a study, but we never got a copy of that report.
The county did a study.
The county did a study, the parks, and we never got a copy of the report, so.
That's gonna be my next stop.
So I really have no idea. And then Gunnar, the old reporter from GBU, just included me in an email where he was asking Supervisor Couch for that report. And Supervisor Couch's office, so he's trying to track it down too. So if I get it, then we'll all have it.
Okay. And has the board or the district ever thought about becoming a Parks and Recs district? This was tried out in Rosemont, and I believe they may have failed after 10 years, and they're in the process of maybe giving their park back to the county. But for 10 years, they were not just a water company district, they were a lighting district, a Parks and Recs district, and I'm wondering if the board or if this entity has thought about doing that for this place, becoming a lighting district, lighting the streets in Fraser, or becoming a park district and taking over the park and getting the revenue in from the park to then help maintain the park.
I know the only time that has come up in the 10 years that I've been here, almost 10 years, is there was scuttlebutt that the county was thinking about turning over the park to somebody, and since we're the only local government entity here.
Not 100% correct, but yes.
What?
Technically, legally, a school district can actually take it over too.
Okay, well, they could, but the
just
county,
haven't
ultimately what it would boil down to is the county would have to give up their tax dollars
Correct.
to whoever's taking care of the park, and I don't think they're gonna do that, but it would have to be enough to.
They have with 8 other independent
Yeah.
park districts and 1 special services
Oh.
district.
Maybe, still, that's just a mute point since nobody's really ever broached that subject, and it would have to be enough to hire additional people to take care of. all
So
of
that's
that.
why I was asking the board if they had considered that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've, many years ago with a completely different project, it was brought up about doing lights and doing some other things for the project way down by the freeway that ended up failing, but, and then it was also, Lebec ended up wanting to, or dealing with that. But,
Plus it's in LA County.
yeah, but they had actually brought it up to us and asked us, they wanted us to sign on to it and we didn't. So it's totally possible for us to do. We would be willing, and whether we're willing, because we would have to,
So without
weigh
a
in-
vote here, would the board be willing if it looked financially feasible?
I would like to bring up just one point. If taking care of the park was separate from keeping the pond full of water, that's easier, because it seems like the people I've heard bring it up, it was, oh, well, if the water company takes care of it, they could keep the pond full of water. But then what that boils down to is, first of all, I don't know that the state would even approve the use of drinking water
That's gotta go with this stuff.
that's needed for the population to be wasted in a pond that just leaks so much water, so, certainly the board could entertain that stuff, but it, sooner whether we controlled the park or we didn't control the park.
I don't know, that's something, it's definitely interesting having local control over something, more
You
local
get-
than
you
Kern
also
County,
get the
but,
ability to add, if you could get it passed on a ballot measure, taxes.
Yeah.
You could make a parcel tax, you could make a property tax, not saying that people would want to do that, but studies in the past have shown that people would be willing to pay something for improving a park. And so again, I'm asking the board if that would be something that they
No.
would consider doing if it was feasible.
I,
And again, no
yeah,
vote needs to be
I'm
taken, I'm
just
just
curious
curious.
if you've done, if you have the research on the other districts that have done that, and if you would be willing to bring that, so we wouldn't have to do all our own
Didn't the
research.
state just get a major bond
That-
measure passed for improving parks?
Yes,
So they got already tons of money set aside for improving
somewhere,
parks.
that's my next thing to track down. I'll be happy to share what I can. I can stop by here in a day or two and bring you some paperwork. Nice.
Because yeah, I would like to. I don't even want to think about sort of a straw poll or anything without having a lot more information. So.
Fair. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Report of officers, president, I have none. Vice?
No.
Secretary,
No.
treasurer,
What?
no, I don't have a report today.
member at large?
No.
Okay.
Just got my email on it.
Any board member initiatives?
No.
Manager's report.
All right.
Um,
Let me see here. Well, the most pertinent thing is we got 176 work orders done. So that's really good. The guys have been working real hard. They've been running around. They had some frozen pipes and stuff, but they've been trying to even catch up on a lot of the maintenance and stuff in the system that they've been having a hard time getting around to. So everything's going all right. We it's the next item in my manager's report, but
Question on that, Joni.
yeah.
On our, it says current 176, and then last month we did 76. How come that says calendar date said 176?
Because this report is for the prior month, and the prior month was January.
The other one,
So we start the tabulation new again.
okay, so the other one, so the 76 was December?
The 76 was December.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And then everything else is for January, so.
Okay.
we've been feeding the whole town off of, the one well in the yard, because well 5 has been out of the ground. I have to, for, Bakersfield Well and Pump to rebuild everything. And, I'm filling out a DIR. Lisa might remember this, or one of you guys. DIR is when you go out to bid for a job.
Mhm.
I researched it. They had no record of us filing for a DIR. So my guess is that it must have been, you know, around this time, since it's a $47,000 repair on well 5. They said they needed the DIR, so I got created. It's like $400 or $500 per year for the DIR. I talked to Curtis about the fact that we didn't go out to bid about it, and said, you know, well, how are you supposed to do that? And he said this is more maintenance, because you can't ship all the stuff that the Bakersfield Well and Pump pulled out of the ground around to different well companies and say, can you bid on it? It's just maintenance, you know. We had no idea. It was only a few $1,000s until they pulled everything out of the ground and decided what needed to be done. So, but I still have to file a DIR.
What does that stand for,
I
DIR?
don't know.
Director of Public Relations,
No.
No,
Department of
No.
Department of
No, it's a thing about the bidding process. It's not.
Department of Industrial Relations is DIR.
Yeah. So the quote, thought there was another one that was at 47,000. Maybe you didn't get the updated amount.
How long do we think the repair would last? It's not like you put in a new well, right?
No.
So,
So they reworking all the interiors and they reinstall them back in, so
uh-huh.
the casing's still there and the housing and the pumps are all there, so it's just a matter of, I would say, guess no more than a week. You know, maybe a couple days.
Really?
Yeah, because they already took the stuff apart. They already have it out.
Oh.
That's how they're able to give us a bid on how much it's gonna cost.
Okay.
They're looking at it right now.
what is, item 1, then item 16 and 19? Do you know?
One more second.
Mobilize and demobilize is one.
Yeah, what is that?
Bringing all their trucks, equipment, personnel onto
How
the
come
site.
it's listed 3 times then?
Yeah, you always have 3
Because they
times.
probably have to do it 3 times, right?
Okay,
If
what
they
we
have
found
to
out
come
about
back up, yeah.
What we found out about the well is it was already set deeper than what our paperwork said that it was. It was set at 200 feet. We want to take it down another 100 feet in case the drought continues longer. So that requires more column, rebuild the motor, the shafts that actually spin the pumps, the pump bowls that hang in the well. They're suggesting, and Curtis and Dee agree, to go to stainless steel. It lasts longer, and if something happens, they get bent, they could be straightened better, so it'll last longer. Dee said really that the goal is to extend the life of the well by another 10 years by getting this done, because, you know, nothing's gonna last forever, but it's a really good producer. It's got good water there, so there's no reason to change it at this point, but we do wanna go deeper. The pump assembly and everything was, worn out. That's another $5,000, but, really, I think that it's gonna be a lot better well once we get it reinstalled, so you guys just gotta vote. The real total is 47,373.19 for the, it went a little higher than this because they made some changes on the quote. I can make copies of this for everybody, or just pass this around if you guys want it.
So, I just looked it up, so, if we have to do a DIR, it's prevailing wage.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's what the quote is entailing. See, it wasn't prevailing wage to pull it because it was only like $6,000. So it wasn't prevailing wage. So that's who brought it up. Bakersfield Well and Pump sent me an email and said, I need your DIR. I have no idea what you're talking about, so
Okay.
then I start talking to Dee and Curtis and they let me know.
And I think Linda actually was correct. It says awarding bodies must register all public works projects with Department of Industrial Relations.
So, and apparently you can use the same fee for all your projects during that fiscal year, but you have to fill it out, so really it's just up to you guys to approve or not approve the
And so
repairs.
the EIR gets added to this?
DIR, that's separate.
I know, but didn't you say that we had to get a,
You have
Environmental
to fill out that form, so you have to pay someone to fill out that form, or pay, is it a?
No, I just fill it out, it's
form?
just a fee, it's
Oh,
a
you-
$400 or
we have to pay the
$500
fee.
fee.
4 or 500?
No.
So that gets added to this?
Yeah, that'll be on top of that, yeah.
Okay,
So it's just any project that's actually over, I thought it was 20,000, it's over 30,000. So there's a long-standing legal requirement that awarding bodies notify DIR of larger public works projects over $30,000 within 5 days of the award of the project.
So I'd fill that out on Tuesday and submit it.
Director
If-
Garcia.
Yeah, I'd like to move that we approve the quote for the rehab on well 5 with the addition
Now,
of
when,
the,
I have a question. Before we go to the.
Before we motion,
are you gonna have discussion after the motion's made?
Is a motion second, then discussion.
Okay, go ahead.
I'd like to move that we approve the quote for the rehab work of well number 5 with the addition of the cost of the DIR.
I'll second that motion.
okay, all in favor?
No, we're gonna discuss
Discussion.
it.
Oh, okay.
No, I just, so, when was this well was done in what, 91?
It was originally drilled in the 60s.
Okay.
It was rebuilt, the last that we,
Pumping station is what we added over there from the last
Yeah.
project?
yeah, we didn't touch the well at all. We,
Yeah, rebuilt
over there,
all the
it was the
pumpers.
pumping station and the tank
Okay.
that they rebuilt, but we have, the well has to be brushed to clean up the perforations, but I have the report for the videos that they did in there. All the perforations let the water in, are all plugged up, they gotta brush it,
Yeah.
clean it all out, and then
Well,
drop it.
I saw the
100 feet.
video when.
Oh, that's right, I was showing
you
you,
showed
and
me the
lower it
video,
all,
yeah.
and the report, so if anybody wants to see the report, I could show you guys that too, but, so yeah.
Director Schomburg.
Is there a reason, or what did they tell you the reason was for having to demobilize and then come back and?
Well, they have to pull it out, take it down to the shop,
Okay,
Tear it
so
apart,
they're
look
charging
at
for remobilizing now?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Plus
'cause
they
it
had to
was
come
on
up-
3 times, so that's why I was like,
Plus, they had to come up twice because they had to send another rig up when they did the video of the well to help it assist.
They've been done? Did you say?
Well,
Like
just,
the video survey?
yeah, the video survey has been done already.
so that wouldn't be,
Because they can't do a quote on what needs to be done until after they
Yeah.
pull
Okay.
it and look at it and tear it apart. And we'll know.
so we're already in, right? We're already,
Yeah,
so we're already
Yeah, already in the middle of
1,700
it,
in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at least, more than that. Mobilizing, so they already pulled it.
it's another 10 years. And that's, that's like a not generous quote,
Conservative?
Right, yeah,
actually,
thank
Dee, when I was talking to him about doing this, that was a discussion I had with him, like, yeah, well, it's a good producer, but we need to try to get at least 10 more years out of it. So his comment really had no bearing on what Bakersfield Well and Pump says that we'll get out of it when they're done. All they know is that they can make it operate better too, that, with doing this work itself. The blades and stuff and the bowls to force the water out are all worn. They got the spec'd out wear listed in there in the email, it's saying, how much it's been worn. And from 91 till now,
Yeah, I mean,
that's a lot, yeah, that's
that
a
is-
wear on it.
Yeah.
Director Schomburg.
I'm sorry, so were you able to get the exact depth?
Yeah,
Did you say that?
yeah, I got it in there, yeah. It's set at like 210 feet right now, but we want
And then we wanna go down to
another
what?
100 feet.
100 feet.
Yeah, because
I
we
didn't know if
still
it's
got like 100 feet of play, And just so you know, assuming that when they go down, there's no bends in the pipe or anything. Plus, we also want to try to put, part of the increase in this was putting a stainless steel sounder in there, so we could sound the well. But even that's not guaranteed it's going to work permanently, because they got the pipe and then they got the column, and there's so little tolerance in between that if something happens and it moves and it bangs against that sounding tube, it could just pinch it off and then it won't work anymore. So that's the best that we could hope for. But if they get down to 260 feet and all of a sudden that pipe, the casing is turned a little bit and it won't fit no more, then we'll have to.
If we're in 10,000, is that 10,000 off of the 47, or is that 47 plus the 10?
I don't know. I didn't really even come
No,
up with
it's, I counted the 46,709.
for the whole job. It's going to be 47,373.19.
No, 47. So it's that 10 that
We're
I'm
off-
saying is within the
Yeah, it's already figured in there.
Okay.
Did you count what it come out of? Pipes and repairs?
The pipeline replacement, I don't think it should come out of that. It should just come
No,
out
I
of
would
our
just
regular-
take it out of our regular operating revenue fund
I'm just trying to,
Yeah, just because there's not enough
for like
purposes.
pipeline replacement,
So.
and it's not really. It's just regular maintenance.
Believe me, I wish we didn't have to do this, but when you
It's
only
not
have 2 wells that
emergency.
supply the whole town, you got to try to keep it going as good as you can. So.
You think?
Can we go?
Yes.
Yep.
I
Okay.
move that we
I
end the
know.
discussion.
I'm sorry.
You
Okay.
second it?
I seconded it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Motion carried.
Motion carried 500.
Alright, that's it for me, Tiffany.
So, I sent the email out. We had submitted the transparency application January 7th. I heard back January 28th, January 30th. They said, you had everything right, everything done. We will be happy to give it to you, except the board has, your training expired, your sexual
No,
harassment.
mine hasn't.
And
Mine isn't
okay,
expired.
you're right. And the transparency. So as soon as we get that done, I email her. I have to post the certifications. They check it out, and then we're good to go. But there is a time, she said, get it done ASAP. Get it done now, because if you wait too long, they'll consider that out of compliance. So get together with Johnny, myself. I know Johnny was willing to get a laptop to your homes if you need that to get on the computer. There's 2 trainings, 2 hours each, or you could come in here and we can set up a time for you to get on the laptop.
okay,
and do it.
duly guilted, we'll do it.
Yes. Me too.
I'm already done.
Brahma did his, Johnny did his.
Okay.
So, and then we should be good.
Shame.
Shame.
Kevin coming on Monday.
Monday's a
Holiday.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
we're along.
Monday's a holiday?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll be here
President's
Tuesday.
Ah, we need to get rid of that.
Tuesday.
We should make it an election day holiday. Oh,
We can snack on cookies and tea.
Okay.
You got me.
I think that's all I have to report.
Wow,
Well, doing good. Okay.
but that was enough, actually.
Ad hoc committee, meeting of the local water company, Sigma, depreciation of assets and, contract with Lake of the Woods.
The January local water company meeting was canceled. The next one's on the 20th, so we'll have a report for the next time.
There's nothing for Sigma. Did you guys work on?
Sigma is supposed to meet, but I was trying to see if I missed it.
I was looking on their website just to help you out, and they
sometime this
didn't
month.
even, they haven't posted
It's
yet.
it was
on their website.
quarterly, so it should have been
It was
this
gonna be
month.
February, and I was expecting to see it on their Sigma
Yeah.
webpage, and it hasn't been put on there.
So I don't know when it is, where I'd go if I can make it.
soon as they update it, I
Yeah,
check
it is.
every once in a while for you.
Okay. Yeah, if you-
Did work on, the assets, any?
We did not work on the assets. We did work on, we came to work on contract with Lake of the Woods. Lake of the Woods was a no-show. And we instead ended up working on the, resolutions. and
Resolution,
For, we looked up all this stuff because the auditors had pointed something out, so Director Nyman and
We still
I
have to
spent
discuss
forever trying to deal with looking through the bond and all that to try to see what was going on.
Okay. Okay. Financial business, accounts payable and financial information.
Okay, the bank balances total $1,430,772.10. The operating account has $217,420.34. Also, we received the annual report from USDA, and the balances due and the interest paid reconciles with their record for next year, also agree with their records. So we're all set with that as well. And the only additional bill that we got that was different than what we normally get is we got this a bill for the auditors who are here today. And other than that, that's pretty much everything else was pretty much the same.
Director Nyman.
Yeah, I may have, maybe I should have brought it up in the treasurer. I would like to go ahead, because we have the funds to do it, to get our, not the replacement fund, but the reserve loan, I think it's reserve loan 2.
The 121 account?
Yeah. To meet all the requirements for the states, you know, we've been putting in monthly, but we have enough funds to go ahead and go ahead and pay it. Instead of paying monthly, I would like, it's about $50-some thousand, maybe 55. I need to get with Linda to figure out exactly what needs to go in that account and go ahead and, so we meet the requirement for the final loan.
Well,
and then
we
we're
are in
just,
compliance
right,
right
right,
now.
I know we're in
Right, but-
compliance, but
Director Nyman wanted to do that, but we needed to talk to the auditors to just make sure that that wouldn't create an issue if we did that. But for us, it would be a little easier to track because then we'd only be putting money in the replacement account and the 2 reserve accounts would be satisfied.
satisfied for the loans.
Yeah, I don't foresee that causing a problem.
No,
No,
I think it's
that way it's more conservative, if anything, making sure the requirements covered.
Just making sure that everything, that way that's already done and it's, oh, we're gonna put this much every month, you know. If the board isn't opposed to it,
I'd like to make, well, no, maybe I shouldn't since I'm doing the financial stuff with you. It should come from one of you guys.
well, can we make a motion on it? I think it's just something that I would do is.
I think they can make a motion and we can second it.
But it wasn't on the agenda,
Oh, but it's in the financials, so.
but it's in the financials, okay.
So I will make a motion that we pay the 50,000.
Well, I don't know the exact
Pay,
amount.
just
Paying
The
full.
reserve.
Just pay-
satisfy the reserve account so that we
Just
can
pay it in full,
concentrate
so we
on-
can get off monthly.
Yeah, it's not really paying it, it's just satisfying the requirement that the USDA
Okay.
has as far as the amount that's in that account.
That's supposed to be in that account.
And
Cool.
then the money each month would just go into the replacement account.
I mean, I get it, but I don't know how to put it in a motion that's not jacked up.
I would think we would just transfer funds into the reserve account and therefore we would actually be ahead of the game. Be way,
Or should I make the motion?
Go ahead and make the motion.
Yeah.
I make a motion that we satisfy the reserve account and, I mean, that's all. That we transfer the funds to satisfy the reserve
And so
account. as one lump sum.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Go for it. Okay,
Thank you, Bob.
glad you're on top of it.
Okay, I have a question.
I think we'll keep him around.
Yes.
So Young Wooldridge, this money for the attorney, I believe should be coming out of, it shouldn't be coming out of our operating fund. It's stuff for the
Lake of the
Lake of the
Woods.
Woods contract. It should be coming out of either a pool of money that they have for that or.
Well, the note that I had on the invoices said that 3 of them were to come out operating, and there's another one that wasn't given to me to pay that's coming out of.
Who wrote that note?
Nobody wrote a note saying.
It
what
wasn't
was
in
gonna
there.
take it
I just wrote something on there that said I pulled out the invoice for the annexation and
Yeah,
sent
no,
that
we
to
didn't
Dave
say.
Warner.
Right.
I
But
have no
these-
idea who's gonna pay for the
Director Hyman.
contract.
I was under the impression that Self-Help Enterprise had money while we
Oh, it's
continued.
different though, isn't it?
That,
The contract is totally separate, it has nothing to do with annexation really, at all. That's gonna have to come out of whatever you guys decide with Lake of the Woods.
no,
who's gonna
oh,
pay for
no,
it.
the one contract, if it's for the separate, for doing that,
One
yes.
that was, yeah.
Okay, the one we should pay, but it looked like some of those other ones were they all the Lake of the Woods
I
contract?
think
that-
they actually are now that I'm looking at this, because at the request of Tiffany, research conflict statutes to determine applicability to district. Is that contract or is that something else?
Yeah, I think that's when you had me ask
I believe
Alan
it is
about
too,
that.
Okay.
Mhm.
Because
There's
if it's
gonna be
not
a
pre, if
conflict.
it's not pre-planning, then yeah, we need to pay that, because that has to do with, the monies
Yeah.
get paid where they're supposed to, and we're not paying money out of,
What we always do is I look at it,
I don't know what this third thing is because it doesn't say. It just says detail of payment and adjustment.
I look at them, and then if I think it's project related, I give it to Tiffany, and then she sends it to
97.50.
Dave.
Okay.
Yeah, can you look at this? It looks like it's all the service. It looks like it's the service agreement for the contract and not for. That's for this contract for services, right? Kinda hard to tell.
See, this particular one, because it says, further review and revisions to service agreement with Lake of the Woods, finalized draft for transmission, well, maybe it is.
that is absolutely the contract for the maintenance. That one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
So it's transmission of the draft, not transmission of water.
No.
it's just confusing the way it's written.
yeah,
Okay, never mind.
never mind.
Never mind. Do you wanna hear a motion to pay the bills?
I make a motion, well, I'm good, I'll make a motion, I already reviewed them. I make a motion that we pay our bills.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Let's pay our bills.
Probably came in an hour early, half an hour early, or actually for an hour today, to review.
Yeah, I was here earlier.
Okay,
You're up.
All right.
welcome again.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. I'm going to do a little blurb because I'm actually passing the torch to one of my fellow partners here. So, Patrick Hoffman, partner at Barbage, just wanted to thank you, the board, for allowing us to be of service again. Been working on the financial statement audit for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2018. I've been working with the district for 10 years now, so this is the 10th year. And I know at a prior board meeting, you guys had discussed, is there a need for auditor rotation, things of that nature, and there's other districts that discuss that issue as well. And oftentimes, one of the options you have is to rotate partners at the particular audit firm. You don't necessarily need to switch audit firms, but rotate partners. That's not the main reason that Daenerys taken over, but this is probably my last governmental audit I do, and Daenerys specializes in this arena, so I'm going to pass the torch to my fellow partner saying
And
goodbye.
I
You
think
probably won't see me any longer.
by law, we have to switch now, so,
Yeah,
but we
every
don't
6 years.
necessarily have to write.
It just has to switch partners.
Correct.
Are you coming back after 6?
Probably not. But we have 3 other partners that specialize in audits. I'm more of a tax guy, so I enjoyed working with the district, but it's like, okay, it's time to pass it
Thank
along.
you.
Well, thank you for having us tonight. My name's Daenerys Rion, as Patrick mentioned. I'm an audit partner at Barbara Hugh Del Hoffman. And this, I worked on this with Scott Westall as the senior in charge, which you guys have probably worked with him over these past few months. So I appreciate the opportunity as well. So I was just gonna go through the financials briefly. I'll make this short and sweet, not to bore you guys. So if you have questions, just let me know. So this is a draft of the financial statements. I believe Scott had emailed this a few weeks ago for your review, and there was a few changes I think that we were going to do on the wording of the replacement, some of those restricted cash accounts. So this is still in draft format. So on page 2 and 3, that is our auditor's report. So this is the piece that is ours completely, and it is a clean report, which is what you want to see. So we call that an unqualified opinion. If you go through the next few pages, the MD&A, or the management's discussion and analysis, that is your report that basically just provides variances, reasons for the variances from year to year, from last year to this year, and it provides a few of the tables in a condensed format. But that is exclusively your piece of the financial statement. If we go to page 10, which is our statements of net position for the year, you know, and you guys are involved, we meet on a monthly basis, so this is hindsight, you know, it's already February, and this is as of June 30th. So we saw an increase in cash and cash equivalents. Most of that, we have our accounts receivable, which is from our customers, didn't change by much, and a lot of that has to do with the timing also, as well as when you collect the receivable and when your customers pay. We didn't have a grant receivable for this year. You received all your funds as during the year of 2018, so we had no monies that were still pending to be received for the grant. We have our inventories, which is just our operational inventory, and then prepaid expenses, which was fairly immaterial. We have our restricted cash, which has to do with those replacement funds and the reserve loan funds that you spoke of earlier. And then our capital assets, which is net of accumulated depreciation. So I know you had a few additions, I believe, for this year. For our liabilities in that position, we have our current maturities that are coming up due in this next year for the long-term debt. Our trade accounts payable and accrued expenses are just our operational payables, are cut off as of June 30th. It also includes our accrued payroll of about $8,800 in that number. And then our accrued interest payable has to do with our long-term debt. And then of course our long-term debt is about $3 million, which we do receive confirmations directly from the institution to confirm that those balances are accurate. If we move further down to the net position, which is the equivalent of an equity for a for-profit business, we have our net investment in capital assets. Figure our restricted and unrestricted.
And where are we, what page?
Sorry, page
Bottom
10.
page
Yeah.
10,
We're still on page 10.
We're still on page 10.
bottom,
And our,
net position.
Yeah. We're in
Oh,
the
okay,
last.
okay,
and
I
our
see.
net investments in assets is the same list that we had before, but that still hasn't been completely corrected, right? I mean, we haven't.
No,
Well, I think that number actually is reflective of the capital assets less the debt. So that number will change each year, but like what you're talking about is looking at your depreciation listing,
Right.
and you might have some old items on there that are
Right.
fully depreciated that just need to be removed. It won't have a net effect on the numbers if it's fully
Okay.
depreciated.
Right,
so.
because the depreciation will come off as well, so that net investment in capital assets is your capital assets minus the long-term debt associated with
Okay.
that, so it will change, because hopefully your long-term debt is diminishing as well.
Yeah.
So, in our restricted amount, the 215 will agree to the restricted cash and cash equivalent figure, so that's the restricted amount. And then the remaining amount, which is 1.1 million, is our unrestricted net assets for the district. If we move on to page 11, which is our statements of revenues, expenses, As you can see, your residential water sales increased because of the water rate increase you had at the beginning of the year. None of the other accounts changed by much or in a material manner. We have our business water sales and some of our other operating income. If you go down a little bit further, we'll skip the expenses for a second. If you go down to the non-operating revenues, your assessment income, which is collected from the county collector's office, is down
Decreased.
below, right? Well, it's about 48,000, last year was about
Actually, it
46.
increased slightly.
So it increased
Yeah.
by about 2.
All assessments.
Yeah. If we go back to our operating expenses, they did not change by much overall in total. There is a schedule, the very last page, that outlines the detail of the pumping power maintenance, and most of that increase had to do with salaries, your salary
Well,
expenses.
Quick question on the non-operating revenue expenses. What is the other non-operating income?
That is your lease income
Okay.
for the current year.
Okay.
So our expenses, if you go to page 27, we'll have, which is the very last page, the detail of the general and administrative expenses, which didn't change by much, or actually decreased by about 8,000. But most of your increase in the pumping and power and maintenance was salary expense as well, related to that specific department. Our non-revenues and expenses, I know our interest income is very minimal. We didn't have grant revenue for this year. And then this year, you had an actual net income or a positive change in net position of about 141,000 approximately. So I know that from previous years and from
That's the
looking at
first time we've ever
right,
been
from
in
looking
a
from
positive.
financials, it's been negative. And you always have to consider the depreciation is non-cash, but you at least now have a positive even with depreciation expense.
I think that was year after year, we were talking about the need for rate increases to make sure, you know, the district could cash flow everything, so we're seeing those results showing up.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go through much in detail on the cash
Can
flow.
I just, before you go on, can I just ask Linda, is there a reason why our non-operating income went down? Our leases didn't change. Are we not being paid by someone now?
It shouldn't have gone down unless maybe there wasn't a payment and it went into a different period. That would be the only thing, because the rates actually went up about
That's what I thought.
$40.
But you're talking a difference of what, $10,000?
$10,000.
$11,000.
Last year, there was another account included in there. So it was like a minor non-operating income account in addition to the lease income. And that's the one that I believe.
Lease income did increase slightly year over year, but there was some
Okay, so
additional.
it's something else.
So
It
it's
was like
something
if we
else.
provided water or something.
Yes,
Oh,
correct.
that's right, we did to Lake
Okay.
Woods, wasn't it?
Oh, Lake of the Woods, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was in there. Okay,
Right, so that was
makes
just
sense.
another account.
They took our income away.
Okay.
If we go to page 12, like I said, I'm just gonna kind of glaze over this, but this is your statement of cash flows. Shows you where your positives and your cash inflow came in, and where your outflows are, which are pretty much your debt and your interest, your payments to your suppliers and your vendors, and of course your salaries to your employees, for a net increase in cash of about $387,000 for the year. And that's on page 12 and 13. If we go to the notes are pretty much boilerplate for districts. There wasn't any new notes that were added from last year to this year, as far as the notes that are required by governmental standards. Note 1 just goes through our significant accounting policies of the district.
What
And then
page
if
is
you-
that on? I'm sorry.
It's
Sorry,
14.
page 14.
Thank you.
So note 1 goes on for quite a bit because it's all of our accounting policies, how we value inventory, how we value our capital assets. If you move on to page 17, which is note 2, describes or details out where our cash is being held and which part of it is the restricted asset and which one is our own accounts. And then that note goes on for a few pages because those are required disclosures. If you go to page 19, or note 3, which is cash and cash equivalents, gives us our balances, and I think those are the ones, the descriptions that Scott had mentioned, that you guys may have a few changes on the description. So that's why this is also in draft format. So as soon as you give us the verbiage, we can go ahead and change that, and go final. So it just outlines what our balances are and what are required.
The issue that came up, because you weren't here, that came up as part of the ad hoc, was that our resolution, and that'll come up later also, but our resolution does not match. Even we didn't write our resolution, it was written by the person who wrote the bond. However, the resolution does not match what the bond wording is, so we're gonna have to figure out how to fix this. And it's on both bonds, both resolutions. They're different, but they're both wrong.
If we go to page 20 and 21, it just outlines our capital assets as far as what we added during the year, if we got rid of anything or sold anything. So this year was minimal activity. We had a few additions in the construction in progress, which were, I think, the telemetry items, and then a small item for pumping plants. No retirements or transfers or abandonment of assets. Page 22 is just your long-term debt, the description of your current maturities, and on the following page 23 just outlines your principal. Page 24 and 25, we outline the grant revenue, which, like I said, we didn't receive any for this year. I think there's something that may be upcoming for 2019, but that's where we would disclose the grant revenue and what it's restricted for, if there are any restrictions. And
Yeah,
then
quick question on 23, so is that taken directly out of the bond, or are you going back through and just making sure that it's correct?
I believe we have an amortization
That's from the original
schedule.
bond amortization schedule.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you haven't varied from the actual amortization schedule in my tenure with you, so.
Okay.
And the institution also, the USDA rate confirmed.
Confirms
That
the
we had,
balance.
that we were in
Right,
compliance.
those balances
Yeah,
were
okay.
Yeah.
correct, so unless they are wrong. And then, like I said, if you go, after page 24, we have our supplements for as of June 30th, 2018. And of course, the last page, which is the schedule of general and administrative expenses. Any questions?
Yes.
That's kind of the bottom line, right?
And the bad debt expense is the stuff that we were writing off correctly now.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
And just got that covered.
I have two other letters that we passed out as well, if I could just go through those briefly if there's no other questions on the financials. So the first one, which is a, 4-page letter, it looks like there's two that look alike. This is our governance letter, so this is a required communication to the board. Again, most of it is boilerplate template as far as our requirements to disclose to you that what are the estimates that we have on the financials, if there's any disclosures that are particularly sensitive to a financial statement reader, if there were any adjustments during the year, as far as journal entries are concerned, the fact that we had no disagreements with management, the fact that, as far as you know, there were no consultations with other CPAs for other opinions, and that we'll get a representation letter once the financials are approved. And then at the end, the last page is the material journal entries that we provided to be posted on the accounting records for the district. So that's our governance letter, and that's required to be provided to the board. And the final letter, which is just a 2-page letter, this is just a management comment letter, which is just a suggestion for income for the district are on a cash basis. So if we move to more of an accrual basis, we'll have less journal entries during the audit. And also, our other suggestion is to reconcile the RVS billing system.
Can you explain to me what you mean by accrual? Just a general.
Sure. Well, for example, if you look at the journal entries provided, there's a few adjustments where maybe like the inventory wasn't adjusted to the actual amount as of year end, so we'll propose that adjustment.
Right.
The accounts receivable may need to be adjusted. It doesn't agree to the RVS billing system, so then we make an adjustment. So it's more of making sure that your year end balances are accurate on the schedules you've provided. So if you've taken an inventory, a list of the inventory, okay, what's the total value of that? Let's make the adjustment. And then when we go in, we don't have to propose it. It balances to what the actual books state. So it'll make the audit be more efficient in that sense, but it's just basically reconciling the numbers that we have at year end with what our.
That's something our accountant would do.
Right. But it wouldn't be a monumental task to just go through and reconcile some of these before we get the books. But these are just to strengthen the internal controls. We didn't quantify these as significant to these during the audit, so.
Would you guys be able to recommend how we would actually do recommendation 2?
I'm sorry?
Would you guys be able to recommend the actual
Oh.
process of enacting recommendation 2?
Right, for the RVS billing,
Yeah, RVS
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
QuickBooks?
That's been an issue I have from starting here,
Right,
reconciling our record directly with it. I don't have knowledge of the system, so I've just been going based on the reports I
Right.
get each month.
right. So it might be something where we get the billing clerk to print the billing at the end of the month, okay, what do we have to report on QuickBooks?
We do that already, we do that with our manager's report,
Oh, okay.
and she prints all that stuff out, when she gets all that stuff, so
And
every
then
month
I-
we still print it, and it's
and-
got all the sales of everything in it.
Yeah. And when she gives that report, then I make a journal entry based on that report.
Okay.
And then, that's in there, and if you see
That's what's given to me every,
That's the one,
Yeah.
yeah, we want, so.
I do a spreadsheet for that, so that the end of there's a total that shows, here's what it's gonna show on the year-to-date for the financials, and those all tie in. So, but I don't know if what the report coming from RVS is, how accurate that is.
Right.
I haven't been able to reconcile that part of it.
Yeah, but we can definitely look at, because Scott comes out and does a walkthrough of the system.
Yeah.
To at least look at more detail to say, okay, maybe this is where we can suggest that you can do this.
Okay.
Because I think that's how we found one of the proposed journal entries was the billing system was showing something different than the QuickBooks, which
Think
was
you-
a prior year.
Think you guys wanna, vote and possibly approve then Scott coming out another day to look at that and see about reconciliation between the two?
Beyond this, you're talking
Yeah, beyond this, the recommendation right here that's here, we don't know how to actually do that, so he would have to come out and show us how to
Yeah,
actually
yeah, I think,
physically do that. Cause I like the idea, it's just we don't know how to do it.
And Linda would have to be here?
Yeah, Linda and Cassandra.
She'd have to do it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, those two would have to.
And hopefully, at least a board member or two, so we know what's going on.
no, I think it's, yeah. We need to
Maybe
move on
the
that?
ad hoc committee for that.
Well, I think we should move on the draft.
Right,
First.
right. So that was all my presentation. So if you have any questions or even after the fact, you can email me or call me as well.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Director Sherman.
So I'm gonna move that we approve this draft, minus the couple of changes we still need to make in regard to,
Well, we'll be
yeah.
discussing that tonight, correct?
Right, well, yeah, but I don't think we're gonna be able to resolve it tonight.
But the only, no,
Is there a discrepancy big enough in the bond issue to where we need to change that? Is it affecting anything since we're in compliance?
It's
Not
just
necessarily the
wording.
wording in the disclosures, it wouldn't cause a violation of any
Yeah.
bond
But you want the
requirements.
wording
But
to
you
be
want
correct in our financials.
It's the district's financials, you want it
No.
clearly stated, so.
Cool.
I mean, is that going to create a problem where we're paying additional money for that while we're trying to figure this out?
Oh, no.
No.
No, we're just
It's
waiting for the
over.
wording changes,
So-
and we
so
change
we-
the words
Right.
and we issue it.
and then you
Yeah.
issue that.
We
Okay.
just-
Because,
Send it
yeah,
over to me.
I'm not sure how we're supposed to change it because we didn't write the resolution.
Guys approve the financials subject to the changes,
Mhm.
and then we get the rep letter, and then we're just waiting on the wording changes, and then we can finalize.
Yeah, let me just.
Okay, we don't have a second?
Did you finish your
Well,
motion?
Finish your
Well, you
motion.
didn't really finish the motion.
Let me try that again. So I move that we approve the draft of the audit with amendments that are going to come in regard to the bond.
Replacement reserve bonds, yeah. I second that.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, 500.
Sorry, I don't feel well.
Thank you.
All right, thank you guys
guys.
very much.
Thank you guys very much. Thank you for all your help.
No, thank you, John. It was nice working with you.
Yeah,
It's been real.
Thank you.
Thank you.
and then you'll go back to
Thank you very much.
doing your taxes.
Yes, right now too.
Lots of
Linda,
text.
before you go,
Send the rep letter.
can I go back for a second to the
Every email this
financials?
time, so we don't have to wait.
I just have a question, not for you,
Not for you guys,
for
okay.
Linda. Did you
Thank
talk
you.
about,
Drive safely.
am I just missing it, did you talk about voiding this Fraser lumber hardware?
I
With
voided
it.
that, but I did that check ended up being the wrong amount, so I voided it. There's another corrected
There's
one
a
in there.
corrected
Okay,
one in there.
okay, I just missed you saying
Yeah, I
you
give you
voided
guys
it. Okay.
that so you can see that I actually voided it.
Okay, perfect.
So you're the one that's gonna be coming back?
Yeah, so,
Yes.
Scott and,
Beautiful, thank you.
so do we, so actually, I guess we need to move on that, or just ask them, I don't know
Scott,
if we need
would
to
it
look
be
at-
beneficial for me to know more about the RVS system?
I would think, yeah. I mean, I
Or
think
would
that's probably-
you be able to show me what I need to look at enough without me having to have training on RVS?
I think we could probably do a little column A, a little column B there.
Okay.
If you knew a little bit more, it'd probably make it easier to do the other things, but I don't think you need to know everything Cassandra knows to do it.
Right, no.
No,
I just want to be able to
I like
do
her being able to help, but we don't want anybody else
Yeah.
actually physically going on that. We want
Yeah.
Cassandra
Right.
solely.
She just needs to
I
understand the
agree.
reports a little bit
To understand the
better.
reports
Yeah.
and the reg-
that seems like a great idea.
Yeah, we just
Okay.
like to keep it
Can I-
isolated, everybody's job.
okay, Director Schoenberg,
Okay.
yes.
I guess I can't actually move on this, but I don't think we need a motion, but I think that we
Okay,
should definitely
super.
bring
That's great.
Him back,
Scott
yeah.
up.
All right, we'll see you
Thank
again.
you.
Thank you, Scott, appreciate it.
Thank
See you
you.
soon.
So maybe we can just direct
We
our
can direct
manager
Johnny,
to, to go ahead and bring them up and let some people, or a couple of board
That's what
members
she
that could
said.
actually do it,
Oh, thank you.
know, so that they could come up and.
I will certainly
do it,
try
too.
that. Yeah, I'll send out an email to everybody. Whoever wants to be here can be here during that
Not
time.
more than 3 though.
Two.
Only two.
Not more than 2.
I know, well, the chance of getting 2 here at the same time, more than 2 is slim to none anyway, so
Good luck, huh?
good luck.
You all have to see it.
Okay, do we wanna take a brief recess?
I'm good.
Is everyone good? Service disconnection.
We're going back to, remember you guys, we should form an ad hoc and.
I'm really tired of being the only ad hoc with Director Nyman, so somebody else needs to do it.
Well, besides, we still have a year. I mean, we would like to get it in the next 5 or 6 months, but we have so many ad hocs going right now, it might be better to
Why
try
don't
to
we,
finalize some before we start more.
Yeah.
So we have a year longer to do
It's
this?
gonna, I believe when it actually goes into effect is next year.
2020.
Yeah.
So can we somehow remember to put it back
Yeah, just
on
table this thing.
in
You want it back
a couple of months?
What are we, February, March, April,
Like May?
May?
Yeah.
Okay.
May.
Yeah, cause that's one that
I make a
think-
motion that we table this until May.
Okay.
Okay.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Discussion and vote on appointing an ad hoc committee to review the contract with Lake of the Woods. I
Okay,
thought
so
we
we
already
don't-
did.
yeah. No, there weren't enough people to vote on this, so even though Director Nyman and I have been doing this, we were never actually fully approved by the board because we didn't have enough members of the board to actually
Because there's
approve
always
the ad
somebody
hoc.
absent, because we have to abstain, we can't.
We can't vote on it because we're participating. So we have enough members today, so you guys could actually make us a legitimate ad hoc
Oh, okay.
instead of us doing the work and
Not getting
hoping
paid
that-
for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
I'll make a motion that we appoint the ad hoc committee of Brahma and Lisa to review the contract with Lake of the Woods.
I'll second that.
and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Abstain.
Okay, so it's 3-2-1, or 3-2-0.
3-0-2.
Oh, 3-0-2.
3-0.
Ayes, nays, abstentions.
Okay,
And thank you, guys.
Or absence.
or absences. Okay, discussion and vote on contract with Lake of the Woods.
Lake of the Woods, what happened?
I wasn't planning on coming to the meeting, so I had to work at the office. So Austin apparently was sick and totally forgot about it. And I think he was the only one in the email that had responded, right?
Yeah.
Well, during the emails, it was gonna be somebody else from the board as well as Austin, was
Was it
the
Paul?
talk with the, they never did pin down who,
Yeah.
but it was kinda brought up by Lake of the Woods. So we nailed down the time and we sat here for an hour past starting time
Yeah.
and never heard nothing
And I didn't know
until,
he didn't show until you
until I
that
sent the email, and then Austin says, oh, well, yeah, I forgot.
Yeah.
And, so we just moved on.
And-
He knew he was supposed to be here and he just, wasn't feeling good and just forgot.
Yeah.
But it cost us time to have our board members here, paying for that time, plus my time for something that really is not for us. So it was a little bit of an irritation, but, Austin just started another email trying to generate a day that we could meet.
Yeah.
So we'll see when that works out with my board members, cause I'm here all the time anyway, but it's up to them whether or not they can get here for the ad hoc.
So that's actually, gonna have to table that, right?
Well, basically, though, we did kinda come up with, what
We came up with some numbers of what we thought,
Yeah,
but it's
so
still.
we were looking for at least $3,500 a month, you know, for the basic services of
What was
the,
in the contract?
what was in the contract, which is like 16 hours or something, just to do the normal stuff.
Plus the-
Yeah.
And we had some wording
And
issues
so,
too.
so the other thing, just to put it out there too, as far as
In addition to the 16 hours?
in addition to the 16 hours, like you have a leak and we have to send people to go do a leak. We were looking more like at 150 an hour, because the thing is we usually have to send at least 2 people, usually 3, and then a lot of times, depending upon the severity of the leak, you know, it ends up being overtime. So we have to cover the costs of all that.
See, and that's why I'm not sure that it's gonna be cheaper to go with us than it will be for Santana, because we have to pay workman's comp, we have to pay insurance, we have to pay all of that stuff.
Right.
So that's, we went with temporarily?
And he's already set up to do business with
He's already set up.
everybody.
Yeah, with whatever.
We're already looking into a contract possibly with Lyle's Utility to do
Yeah.
the bigger stuff too. Not quite the leaks, but they could do that.
Yeah.
So do you think it would be beneficial for you guys to get the contract rewritten to the way you guys were talking about, the new format that you guys were talking about, and have our board look at it before you have the ad hoc?
To death, but it's starting to feel like our annexation again. We're asked to do things to help Lake of the Woods, and then nobody from Lake of the Woods participates. Now we're racking up attorney's fees for looking at the contracts.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like, although it's spoken that it's important, it's not important for anybody else to show up but us.
Right.
Yeah.
So if we invest more time, and I invest more of my effort, and the board member more of their effort into writing it, and then you decide you don't want to do it, because right off the bat, Austin started, well, let's try to get the cost down. Let's try to, presented us with the contract of what Golden wanted, which I know you're doing, and it's like, but let's go ahead and whittle that down and take some of that cost off.
Mm-hmm.
So it's starting to get already to where it's more us again.
Okay.
And the annexation is really getting to be a thorn, because we've been doing it for 3+ years, primarily by ourselves, with no help from Lake of the Woods. or participation from Lake of the Woods, except for
Except
a few of
you.
you sometimes, except for
Except
you,
for
you're
you.
always here.
I know.
But you're here, you know, regardless, but,
Yeah.
But
so
I
it's
just keep
entirely
it
up to the
abreast.
board, but as far as,
I think you're right, Johnny.
yeah, pushing more,
Well, there's a board member almost every time now.
yeah, but he hasn't been coming that long. For
Yeah.
3.5 years, it's been primarily us, he's just now starting to get,
Yeah, he's only been a
Interesting.
board member since December 2017, so a little over a year.
and so it ain't his fault.
No.
It's not.
I'm just acknowledging that you're
Yeah.
here. Yay.
I get your frustration. I can only be me. I can't help them all in here.
Yeah, well, I think if we put our foot down, they'll understand that.
Well,
Can I say something? Go ahead.
well, I was thinking that we probably should have the meeting to discuss part of that contract because of the wording that you didn't like, even though it's hooked up with the exhibit. The way it's put in there almost seems like we could end up with some expenses and we wanna make sure that the wording is correct.
Okay, are you guys even willing to go any further? Cause it
Yeah,
sounded like
yes,
you were ready.
I think we are, as long as I mean, I'm speaking for myself, but I'm willing, but, and I don't know.
I'm willing. I think it still would be a good thing for us.
it would be beneficial.
It'd be
main thing I
beneficial
wanna
in the
pro-
long run.
But I've also got already some feedback from the community, and my opinion is benefit for the district to not be all over our butts.
Okay.
If we just whittle it down to where we just break even
Mm-hmm.
to take over their system, and then my guys are worked even more than they are now,
Oh, it's gotta be beneficial to us.
we cannot do it for just the cost. It
Yeah.
has to be something to show, because when the community is upset, they're yelling and screaming about squandering money and everything else. So you have to be able to see
That it's
a
not
table
costing
of,
them.
it's
Yeah,
not
the
costing
benefit
us
of it.
nothing.
Yeah.
You know, and that,
And nobody,
Wait for-
so many people don't understand the, you know, getting Lake of the Woods and us together, you know, they
yeah,
don't.
they don't, and so we just have to keep that very clear.
Director Schomburg.
So I didn't actually get to finish, but what I was gonna say is that I think that the ad hoc definitely needs to come first because we're paying money to the attorney to do this contract.
But we can't. We have to ask them. Some of that cost is, can we even legally do it as a public utility?
Yeah, we had to do that.
That was part of that cost. We can't proceed with something without, plus we had to do that in a timely manner because at the time you didn't have the contract with Golden. So it was asked that we try to speed it along to try to help you guys.
To get it done.
So we had to get those questions answered from the attorney before we even went to that point.
Right.
Does no good to spend months hashing out something that we can't do legally. So that was those costs.
Director Schomburg.
Yeah, I was just.
So to finish,
Well, it
It's-
seems to me that your attorney certainly took on more than that question.
Well, there's more. We had a contract too because you didn't want to go with the Golden contract.
We didn't offer you a contract. We discussed it with you. We didn't give you a piece of paper, did we?
You absolutely
Yeah.
did.
We
And see,
did,
and,
yes.
and that's kind of what I'm getting at. You're getting frustrated by the situation
Yes.
and questioning what we're doing to make it safe for us when you gave us the paperwork. You guys
Yes,
brought us the
Austin
Golden
asked us
contract.
from the Golden contract and Jude's,
Gee,
breakdown of his contract of what he
I
does.
apologize on that.
Yeah.
I say we just, to remain friends on the annexation, just cut it. Just say, leave Golden to do it.
Him to have a basic-
Because it takes a lot of our time and a lot of our effort, and I don't think it's really worth it. I think it's better just to let them
I
deal with maintenance till we take it over.
I would like to have an ad hoc meeting, me personally. I don't know about Director Nyman. I've heard our manager's thoughts on it. I would like to have a meeting to decide if, you know, if that's a good idea or not with the ad hoc from Lake of the Woods, which, you know, can be a relatively short meeting so it doesn't cost. We're okay with that.
I'm open to a meeting.
I'm bothered by us taking over the service of Lake of the Woods. I just don't know. The guys work 10 hours a day. Here, when are they going to have 2 hours every other day to go up there.
Well, a lot of it's gonna be me. See, and that's kind of my point, and it's getting turned around to where we are asked to do something, just like the annexation, then it's turned back around on us like we're trying to push for more and we're trying to gain something, when really it's just, we're trying to help out. But it doesn't reflect that way when we start doing all the work, so I'm all for just saying, we're good, but you know, it's up to you. I mean, don't hurt to have a meeting to talk about it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I feel like our workforce is stretched and has more than a full plate to work on our system. And if we are not going to benefit from it, make money off of it, as any business is business, and this is business.
We're nonprofit.
Well,
Not business.
to cover our efforts and our costs, and then some to put back into the coffers. We're just now experiencing the first time we had, just like we talked with the accountants, the first time we had an audit that ended up in the plus range. I thought that felt pretty good. I think that's an accomplishment that we've been tugging at for I've been with you at least for 10 years trying to accomplish these things. So to see the sunlight and feel that we are moving in the right direction does not feel like we need to overburden our functioning system that we have going.
I mean,
That's
for
my
sure.
opinion.
So part of this was beneficial for us, although I'm starting to see where it may not be beneficial if we're gonna have friction between Lake of the Woods and Fraser Park, which we definitely don't want, especially if we're gonna go forward and do the rest of the stuff for the annexation. But, my idea was that there was a benefit from this also, in that we would intimately know the system and know what issues might come up, because we may decide, having done that there are other issues that we didn't even address or didn't even understand in going forward with the annexation. So personally,
You think that's a low budget crystal ball into the whole annexation thing?
yes.
But just so you know, Golden is able to step right in Lyles and run the system without that as well.
Seamless.
It's not anything that, it would have been nice, but obviously my thought is, if it's gonna take all this time and all this effort, and then we had to hire somebody else, and then something happens, now we got a fourth employee that we gotta worry over that. Is it really worth all of that to do this? And if it had gone easy to this point, it would have been one thing, but it's not.
Dr. Schomer.
Doctor? Wow, I got promoted.
Hey, Doc.
I still think it would be of benefit to have one other meeting, because we, in good conscience, we voted to move forward with this. And I think that if we're going to not move forward, it needs to be an understanding between Huckis or your whole board, because as far as I understand, we said that we were willing to go forward with it. So.
And we had, and the first time that we were supposed to take care of it,
They didn't show.
they don't
Well-
show, and
those
they
things
get upset,
happen.
and he gets upset because we incurred legal fees to cover it. So that's what I think we should just remain friends, which was the whole idea of me and Austin talking. Look,
Crazy.
yeah, I mean, it should have been really simple, and it's not turning out to be real simple.
And if our GM is up there doing all the.
Well, here.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
No, that's okay.
I mean, really, for me, what it boils down to, Johnny, is because you're going to have to go up there and do all the mixing and stuff, and so I don't want to impose more, because you have a lot on your plate, and a lot of stress on you managing the system and what's going on, and so this is extra time that you're going to have to do. So if you don't feel that it's beneficial, then I say we cut it. I mean, because I don't want my manager to be, our manager to be over the top or over stressed, because this is already a big running our system is a big undertaking, and trying to like schedule because we've got to put more piping in the ground, and we've got to do these other things that haven't been happening because we have so many things going on. So if it's gonna cause us this much stress, and it's too much and it's over the top for him, which it sounds like it is, I say you just go with Golden, and we remain.
I'm not offended, honestly.
Yeah, I'm not trying. I don't want to offend anybody. I mean, I think that the intentions of the board were to be helpful. I mean, and that's what we want to. I mean, that's.
I think we all came at it like being there for each other. Like,
right.
This is the perfect solution, and then when it comes to fruition, it's really just becoming a daunting task.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
It's just going to be.
And going into the future, once we annex, then it's your whole system. So when you hire new employees, it's long term. It's
right.
the whole system.
Right.
I get it, and Johnny, I understand where you're coming from. I run 2 companies, so I'm not fully in his position, but I get it. I'm overwhelmed just going through this construction phase. So
yeah.
You add whatever this might be on top of it, I'd be like in the loony bin. I'm already taking donations for hair coloring. That's what I get it, and I understand, and I don't want us to not, have a good relation going forward, because we have been along.
Oh, we've had a good relationship always. So
this stress of the annexation has been crazy. I get it on my side too. I know Johnny gets it from the customers, and it's a mixed bag.
Yeah, I just don't want more fuel for the community
Yeah.
to be angry with us.
Well, I just have a question.
Yes.
What's your proposal for one more meeting? Like a meeting between now and the 28th, and then we meet as a board for our meeting on the 28th?
No, it would have been like an ad hoc. We would come in and meet.
An ad hoc. So and.
Yeah, I was just proposing as the ad hoc, we
Just
make
to
sure that
finalize
we're on the same, that we're.
I mean, it looks like we're all in agreement
everything.
now, but if you think it would be better to, I just
I
wanted to
don't know.
ask. Do you think it would be better for you to have one more
I mean,
ad hoc
it
committee?
appears that I'm the only one that thinks we should still do that, so.
But your opinion is
And
valuable.
what would come from that meeting?
I don't know, I just feel like, we don't have, really it's hard to say one board member is the board, and it's hard to say that, Pam, even though she runs the company, is still, I don't know, I just feel like.
Yeah, I mean, I talked to Austin today and he was out of town. He's at a farm expo, agriculture expo. But
I know if the shoe was on the other foot and I was Lake of the Woods, and I had come without another board member, and I had come to this meeting, and everything was decided at this meeting without giving at least Austin or whoever else is on their ad hoc a chance to represent themselves, I feel like I would be frustrated. That's all.
It certainly doesn't hurt to talk to Austin.
And
I mean, Austin's a great guy. I mean,
I don't think it's going to
talked to
cost
him.
us money. Like generally, we don't put in money for the ad hoc unless we're spending like the same length as a board meeting.
yeah.
So if we're just coming in for an hour to hash things out, and if we agree that we don't want to do it, that's fine. I just feel like maybe that, and then we can finalize that at the board.
Especially
meeting.
since he's not here tonight.
Right. I feel like we're making a decision without. I don't know.
Why isn't Austin here?
He's at the Ag Expo,
Oh.
Agriculture Expo.
And he was
It's Valentine's Day.
sick at the last when we
Yeah,
were
he was.
supposed to meet. So he did email us and apologize for not being here. So I don't know. I just thought it
It's
would
just
be-
if you run a whole company, if you make Lake of the Woods a whole company, it's run by one company. If you're trying to do a management contract, now you're trying to meld 2 operations
Companies,
together, which makes it way harder.
Yeah.
Which is my only concern. It makes it way harder because then there's going to be the priorities of Lake of the Woods and there's going to be the priorities of Fraser Park, and both are just as valid. Pam's issues are going to be just as valid as ours, but we're going to try to meld the 2 together, and it gets to be
That's what I'm saying.
it gets to be a lot more complicated. And I don't think it was realized until we sat down and started trying to hash out all the numbers and hashing out what it all entailed before we really realized this is kind of a big undertaking to try to meld the 2 together. Golden can just walk away at any time that they need to if they didn't like the way things are running, but
we're
Yeah.
still gonna be neighbors.
Yeah,
Exactly.
We still have we have a thing going on, right? We gotta,
yeah, we're still gonna do the annexation.
so, which is just turning
When they
out
show
to
us
be
the money.
way bigger than we thought.
Yeah,
If
if
they
they
ever
ever
show
give it
us
to
the
us,
money.
yeah.
Okay,
Well, I make a motion, well, we don't even have to motion, really. Do we have to make a
well,
motion?
yeah, cause we've been discussing, we got a
Well,
vote on the
yeah,
contract
actually,
with Lake
we-
of the Woods.
You already got the ad hoc approved, and we'll all you two to answer Austin's email on time of when we can meet. Nobody's answered him.
Before the 28th, right?
No,
So you're saying you do still
Oh, I
want
don't
us
know.
to meet one time and?
No, we're saying that if you wanted to meet,
yeah,
I'm not opposed to that, if you feel like it's important.
Okay, let me just say something.
I-
Right now, listening to Johnny, he's the one that would have to go up there.
Double
And it
duty.
sounds like to me that he's overwhelmed and you don't wanna do
No,
it.
see, I don't want you to put it like that, because I'm not overwhelmed with work. I can handle what I say I can handle. It's, do I want to take it all on when it's becoming an issue of where it's kinda like doing us
We're
the
doing it all.
favor instead of, and we have enough of that. We have the annexation and that's enough. We don't need to do that more. You know what I mean? That's my issue. I could handle anything we say we could do. I could run that whole company by myself. If I had, I mean, as far as doing all the day-to-days, that's not the issue. I just don't want it to be another 3.5 years of the annexation where we're doing everything. Certainly, we're not doing everything.
No,
for
I
you,
get it.
But we're doing all the meetings, all the board meetings and everything. I don't want that to happen again. I'd rather just walk away and call it good, as far as the maintenance goes.
Well, I make a motion that we rescind, the contract, that we don't go forward with the contract of Lake of the Woods.
I'll second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Okay. 4, 1, 0. Is that right? Okay. Discussion and vote on emergency preparedness for the district and the mountain communities. Us, Lisa.
So then we need to disband, before you move on, we need to disband the ad hoc we just created.
Okay,
So
how do we do that?
I'm just,
I motion
just
that we
motion that you,
Disband
Disband
the
the
ad
ad
hoc
hoc.
committee for the discussion of the contract with the Lake of the Woods for maintenance.
Do I hear a second?
not us, it needs to come.
Yeah,
from
I'll
you.
second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Abstain.
302. Okay.
So sorry, that was actually going back to number 11, sorry about
Yes.
that, I was out of order.
Can we take a 5-minute break, cause I need to go to the restroom?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll make a
5
motion
minutes.
that we take a break.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Let me turn.
5
this
zero.
What time?
7:28.
I
down.
can't see that. Beans.
So someone, I need one more signature on this for, and then it's supposed to go to Johnny, not get put in the.
I'll grab that.
Are you going to?
It could be rattlesnake,
Okay.
it's going right in.
We're going live.
Putting the camera back on.
13, discuss and vote on emergency preparedness for the district and the mountain communities.
Can you say what time we came at?
7:39, thank you.
Oh, the bank ones don't seal, cause I'll take them to the bank.
But they were under 3,000, I've only got
Oh,
the ones that are over.
oh, okay. Oh, you'll be getting them in a minute.
Okay.
Sorry.
Did we do the sat phone?
Yeah, it's in the
Yes.
safe. I thought I showed it to you guys.
You did it?
I can get it out if you'd like to.
Yeah,
Pretty
check
cool.
that bad boy out.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Spend that
I know
kind of
we
money.
approved it.
And you
We
need to
didn't
tell
say
the
it,
plan's
sat phone.
slightly different than the,
Okay, we didn't know that either. Than what
Yeah, I
we
think
authorized?
huh?
Than what we authorized?
Yeah.
Okay, and it turned out the $35 a month for 10 minutes went up to $45 for 10 minutes because for $35 for 10 minutes you only get the international phone number. For an extra $10 a month, we got a US based phone number, which I thought was important.
And
Yeah.
10 more minutes.
Yeah, and so
Yeah, very
then you
much
get
so.
10 minutes,
10 minutes.
10 minutes, and then it's
Per
85
minute.
cents a minute per minute after that. Which
Fire it up yet? The calling
Yeah.
one?
Yeah, there's a phone number in here, in this paperwork, that allow you to call for free to verify that it's working.
Beauty.
And so it don't need to be connecting, but I read the directions. You step outside, you get the satellite,
Boom.
you're good, and I charged it.
I like it. We're in the 21st century now.
We are.
So,
$10 each phone.
I think that's a good
so the only issue we have, which we'll have to resolve at some point, I think, actually, I guess, can I even talk about this? Oh yeah, we're on emergency.
We're on
Yes,
emergency
right? Okay.
That's
preparedness.
the reason why I'm at.
There you go.
I
Cut it
asked.
loose.
Is that it's in the
Searching
safe,
for
which
satellite.
right now, is it just Johnny or do you also have?
Myself?
Both of us have
Hello?
the safe as well as Cassandra.
Okay.
No, I
then
can't
also
talk
there's
right now.
three-
We're in a
there's
meeting.
three of you.
Okay, no problem.
And
Working.
it
Okay, so
costs $20. You
that's
gotta
okay
take
then,
it,
right?
Yeah, I was just concerned that there weren't enough people that had access
Good
to the
point, though.
safe, but if there's three company people, it doesn't, the board doesn't need it.
Of our most reliable
Here,
company
and
people.
this one's already
I like it,
signed,
Johnny.
so she can seal it too.
Johnny,
Want
Yeah.
some?
we found that.
That one's already
Want some of
signed.
this?
Little
Huh?
one
That
is-
one's already signed. You could,
that's the
Yeah,
little
okay.
one. That USB.
Oh,
Did I
yeah?
gotta put it in the
Really?
envelope?
Yeah.
You gotta
we
sign
thought,
those.
oh,
You know,
it's a
that's
free
fun.
USB.
Okay.
That's
But
funny you should
actually,
say that.
they,
I
they
had no
need two
idea what it was
signatures.
for.
Let's use her head
We,
for
we
it.
didn't either until, or they put it in the
Sorry.
computer and went,
It's
oh, it's
okay.
the manual.
Pretty neat. So you got the same
You
phone?
want to see
We got
this?
the-
So does Lake of the, no,
You wanna see
that's
this?
Krista, and does Lake of
No, I
the
don't
Woods, are
care.
you
Pass
guys
it
Do you
on.
wanna
Pass
see
it
it?
on. Yeah,
getting
pass it
one?
on.
You know what we need to do is we
Just
need to
spend big money for
exchange
this.
sat phone numbers.
We'll see
Yeah.
how it works
Oh,
out.
it's like
Johnny,
it
that
looks.
community paper that I
I
sent
think I
out
was
for the
heavy.
community meetings
Yeah.
has that sat phone.
Oh,
that's
okay.
on
So I just have to.
there. But I just need yours now.
Yeah.
And are we able to talk to Lake of the
Did
Woods
you
on
see
our radios? We are, right?
Here's the deal. We did a radio check. Billy went out to the mini mart. I went down to CarQuest, and we could talk to each other.
Oh, wow.
But as soon as I turned off the road into CarQuest, it got really staticky. So if we were up into any canyon,
Forget
it's
about
going
it.
to make it a lot more complicated. But
This?
the base station in the office was staying pretty clear. So the base station, if we had to, we could always relay.
At least we
Okay.
could,
Okay.
we could talk to somebody off.
So
When
if
did
we,
we get
if we
radios?
knew what
Yeah.
those points were,
I bought radios
a while ago.
like 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
You use them every day?
No, we typically just use our cell phones and stuff. But in the event of an emergency, we use them.
Right, right.
And Lake of the Woods has radios or?
No.
No.
We're gonna start using the radio because we came up with a safety situation. I forget who even came up with the idea. Somebody came up with a great
So-
idea. We're gonna move the base station to the desk that Cassandra sits at. So when somebody comes in and is getting
Tries to
overly
talk.
aggressive, she can just key the mic and then we'll all hear it.
Nice.
So we could come back and make sure everything stays calm. So that'll work out good.
Smart.
That is.
Cause
Moving on up.
Well, yeah, 'cause you have customers coming in here being rude.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, not just
It's
being
terrible.
rude, but
I mean,
being
getting
aggressive.
And being
Yes.
gross.
Yeah.
So we're
And
off,
gross.
we're
Little off.
Point of
We're
order.
off topic.
A little off topic. This is emergency preparedness.
yes. So I asked, so we wouldn't be able to get a hold of Lake of the Woods, but we might be able to if we had a point where somebody could go to, like Austin, they have radios at
Fines?
Opinion
Well, our
Pines,
radios
right?
aren't gonna talk to their radios unless it was the same frequency.
Right, and he doesn't, they don't have.
Can you
the
adjust
same-
that?
No, it's a set frequency and you have
That
to
we,
get
that we have a,
you have to get an FCC license for it.
Oh, wow.
yeah.
So you're not gonna be just changing frequencies. If somebody had a,
You can't get permission to be on that frequency for an emergency?
Are you talking about the radio or the sat phone?
The radio.
Oh.
The radios themselves are set to a set frequency.
Right, I know, but you can change the frequency on those
You
radios.
cannot change them unless, you can take them in and have them programmed, but it's not like a CV where you have 32 stations.
No, so it's only
This is a
one
set station.
Set station.
So
okay.
you would have to
No,
get
no,
the
the
bib
ones,
into-
the ones we had for the state, those are Motorola's. We could have several channels that we could go to.
This one, yeah, again, but they have to be programmed in there. These are Motorola's. We could have them programmed, but then we would have
No,
to.
ours was just a dial, where you just go
Yeah.
up, down, all kind of
But
channels.
see, then they changed a lot of that to a different frequency, low frequency. A lot of the old radios went to the dog catchers and everybody, and the fire departments and other people, they went to the different frequency range here. So we could do it, but we would have to get an FCC license for that to be able to broadcast on their frequency,
Okay.
which wouldn't be too bad.
Oh, I wanted to bring up something. We want to reduce the number of these we print, so,
But you're totally off, can you? Totally.
and I should have said it during the
Yeah,
financial.
hang on. We'll get back
Well,
to you.
as soon as we're done with this, why don't you go back to the final?
Okay, come on,
Okay.
we're getting spacey, it's getting late.
Okay, so we haven't discussed purchasing emergency supplies,
No.
which we were talking about.
Water, space blankets, right?
Right.
Food, dish type.
Yeah, canned foods
So
are you talking, or
I think
dried
what we
food?
wanted, no, like some kind of like instant, you know,
something
pour
that
water in.
that,
kind of
yeah,
thing.
something that lasts for.
Like MREs?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Like
Well,
that, did you buy at Costco?
They have these ones that are good for 20 years or whatever. I mean,
Mine? This is myself.
There are actual meals that don't.
when the public is hungry, they're going to eat whatever they get.
Well, it's not
They ain't
about.
gonna get that
It's
desperate
not.
that quick.
It's not about the public.
And then.
It's not just really about the
always
public. It's
send
about
them that-
us in an emergency being able to have our crew stage here and have food and water and blankets and whatever they needed so that they didn't have to try to figure that stuff out at home. They would come here immediately so that we could keep the company functional in an emergency.
But they're going to taste what they taste like. I mean, you're going to add water to them and
I know, but I'm just saying, like, yeah, something that's
To be honest with you,
reasonable.
they have 5-gallon buckets of like some kind of packaged rice and beans. Literally, that's all you need. You just need sustenance for a couple of days.
But if you don't have water,
Well, we're gonna have if we don't have water, we're in big trouble.
We're the water company. We better.
Water company.
That's the whole point.
We're gonna need an armed guard at the door.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
Forget the
Come
bar.
on.
So I think we just need an amount that we're okay with as far as buying like a pallet. The water doesn't last that long. Do you know? Do we know?
It's a
It's
few
like
years.
a year,
It's-
couple years.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, in the bottle?
Yeah. It doesn't. You're supposed to change it out. It's,
Yeah.
'cause
Well,
the
yeah, I
bottles
was
are
gonna
out.
say, mine all get to be, and taste terrible.
Yeah.
I don't care, I drink them anyway.
Well, we also have we have technology to purify water too. It's 10 drops per gallon, unless it's really cloudy, then it's 20. So. 20
So maybe we don't really need pallets of water. Maybe we need some containers.
They
or
recommend
something?
no more than 2 years for non-carbonated water and 1 year for sparkling water.
So is there a better way to have water in the yard that's available for
I still think that
our
if you
crew
spend
and for somebody who's really desperate in the community?
I think
and
if you spend $1,000 on a couple pallets of water, and then every year and a half you donate them to the sports teams and the Boys and Girls Club, and replenish that. It's
But
the
they
community's
have
money.
rules.
It's, they have rules too, we'd have to look into that,
Yeah.
but I'm sure it could be donated to some good cause. It's not that big of an expenditure for water. You know, you mark it when you get it, you wait until it starts getting near that shelf life, and then you donate it to somebody that needs it, cause it's still gonna be sealed and on pallets. And we're good. Dump it in the pond.
So,
Or the pool, or.
were you able to look up any of the costs of anything, like?
Well, it was like
space
$400 or $500
budgets
for a
and-
pallet.
You know,
depending
my
on
only
where you go.
concern with that is that, you know, even though it's getting close to a shelf life, if there is a problem, that there is some liability if you donate some
Yeah, there might
water
be. Yeah,
to
they wouldn't-
somebody
they-
and somebody
they-
gets sick, and then all of a sudden you could have a lawsuit on your hands.
I mean, not us, but if, I mean,
You know,
Healthy
but-
Start wouldn't take it, Boys and Girls Club wouldn't
No.
take it if it had expired. And probably the school couldn't either.
If it expired, I'm saying you have to give it up.
Somebody's gonna
before-
get close and use it up right away.
Yeah, before it got expired. Plus, we're talking about only issuing this water in a natural disaster where we got no water.
Right.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
the only
gonna-
water around, guess
It's
what?
gonna be pretty important at that point
Yeah.
to drink water, but, I mean, you don't have to do that either. We could always just buy a water tank and keep, well, I don't see, there's no automatic shut-off valve. You guys had me look into that like 5 years ago for like an earthquake valve for like a
Right.
gas company. There's none out there.
Yeah, for tanks.
It'd be nice if a tank just, you know, you get a big shake, it shuts off the valve. There's no technology for water tanks for that, so.
Wow.
But, just so you know,
Anybody
even
wanna
if the
make
tank,
money?
even if the tank drains, there's gonna be roughly 2 feet, 1.5 foot of water in every single tank, no matter what happens to it, unless the whole tank fell down. Because that's below the,
The drain.
yeah, below the drain, so there's gonna be enough water to tide us over if we need to, but then we still got the liability of we're gonna be dipping buckets and passing it out, but I don't think there's liability in a natural disaster like that.
Yeah, a matter of life and
And,
death.
and what's the difference between getting some sort of tank in the yard that has a lot longer?
It's really not gonna have a lot longer because you're still gonna have to fill it, chlorinate it, maintain it,
Test it.
test it for bacterias, and then you're gonna have the same issue. If you plumb it in there and then you have an earthquake, you're still gonna, you're stuck no matter what. The only thing it is in a major catastrophe, you're gonna have to do something with crowd control at those water
Exactly,
tanks.
mob mentality.
Because
too.
the mob mentality is gonna show up. I mean, we can't even do the slightest change at the water company without the mob mentality. So now you got the only water in town, and you gotta keep everybody calm when you're passing it out. And we're gonna have 1 or 2 sheriffs up here to help us with that,
Right?
Yeah.
if you're
they're-
lucky.
If they're even up here.
Well, there's always 1 or 2, but it's on the mountain
There's
community.
plenty of people would go.
That's why you run into problems, because really, we're gonna have the only water in town.
Yeah, that's what, I'm thinking
Got your
about
gun?
too.
I got my gun.
Yeah, we're gonna have.
No break in my house. You might find yourself in
Well,
trouble.
maybe it would be smarter instead of buying a pallet of the little waters. Maybe it would be smarter getting like the gallon or a couple gallon containers that you could fill back up, so that we would have and rotate them into using them here or whatever, so that we'd have
Yeah,
empties
pallets
for
of Costco
people.
water, gallons of Costco
Right,
water.
so that way we'd have empty containers, because people may not have containers to put stuff
But again,
in
you're
either.
talking about buying another, $3,000 C-train to sit in the yard just for emergency supplies, so it could be stored.
It
We have
would be
1 or
just
2
for
sea trains out there.
one.
We have only one out
We
there?
got one out there.
I mean, I
Which
don't.
we probably got room in that, but everybody was concerned about the control of that. If you're buying emergency supplies, you probably wanna have a place that's dedicated for those emergency supplies. Maybe we could cage off part, but, I mean, it just ain't gonna work rolling a pallet in and out of the one that we got, cause we got workbenches and all that stuff, so.
But couldn't it do double duty for some other things that we need storage wise if we got another C train?
Yeah, we could always, there's always. stuff.
Because right now that one's for tools and all of
Yeah,
that.
for that matter, we could throw it down in the shop, just the water, if you didn't wanna buy another Connex, we just put it down in the
In the
shop that
old-
we're not using a whole lot
Right.
now. Be all covered with dust and dirt and everything, but so what, covered with a tarp and call it good. And it's not like you really have to watch it a lot, nobody's really gonna, it's not a hot commodity.
No, not until the earthquake hits.
Tell the earth, and it's gonna be the biggest commodity.
Well, then
So,
they'll be breaking in the C-train from,
Break into it?
no, I said they would probably break in, cause there's a C-train right there that they keep,
canned food.
canned food and stuff in.
And we can't get with the community to supply any of that kind of stuff. We need to
It's
do it
better to
ourselves.
do it separately because we don't know how they're gonna pass things out and really part of it is about sustaining our crew too, so that the crew, I mean, that's like, part of it is if
They can't
people
go
in the
fix anything if there's no food.
yeah, they can't fix anything if they don't have anything. That's number one. And I mean, if we have extra, we would certainly give it out to the community, but we can't rely on the community and their process to have.
Yeah, and you can't
Us
assume
and
that they
mine.
have a plan, you know.
They
An
do.
emergency
They
plan.
said they do, but yeah, who knows what that is?
Right.
So, yeah.
Especially
So
since
I
I'm
think-
retired.
I think we did. I mean, we might want to carry it over one more time, but I think we need to come up with a have Johnny or us come up with a list of, we need like X amount of the blankets, X amount of water that we're willing to turn over periodically, a certain amount of food. I don't know what the prices are for any of it, so I
You
don't
know,
know.
it's so funny. Excuse me. Mitch had 1 million of those metal blankets, those aluminum blankets.
Yeah,
She she literally had about 100. And she would buy them, I'm assuming from,
They're not horribly
I mean, you
expensive.
could probably buy some online from some kind of,
Are we is anybody willing to look stuff up so Johnny doesn't have to do that? On the board?
I'm here too.
you gotta kinda have an idea of how much you're gonna allot.
I think it's just,
Come out with
It's basically, it's $500 for a pallet of water. I see Chris guys are
I'm thinking
$4.28
somewhere
pallet.
around like $1,500 or something. That's just my rough, or two, so that we're getting. But I don't want to spend it all on water. I think just one pallet of water because you have to turn it over all the time. So like water, but the big water so that you could give out the empties to community up if you had to. The
Just as a side note, there's
blankets.
48 cases, and in each case is 6 gallons of water
Yeah.
in this one.
Yeah.
Half gallons or
Individual gallons.
What I'm looking at
Which
right
that
now.
would be the best, I think.
I think so.
And then, I mean, we even need stuff like little bleach tablets and stuff if we needed to like bleach or we needed to put stuff in
and like
chlorine.
toilet paper and stuff, you need that, you know.
Toilet paper. Yeah,
It
just
just,
dump
Is it
stuff.
it just
stupid?
goes on. and
No.
on.
You didn't
No,
say
that's,
it was stupid.
There's leaves out there.
no, that's
Oh,
absolutely.
leave me
Those are
alone.
pine
They're
needles, son.
It's not
Finding needles.
it's not stupid.
No.
I mean, it needs to be like enough of a kit. Like if you have an earthquake kit at home, that's what I'm trying to have
but see, here's the
here,
problem.
but on a bigger
That's
scale.
288 gallons of water on that pallet. Now, we have 1,300 houses here. We have a population of 2,691 people.
Right, but we can't.
So if it's just for the water company itself, then we could limit the whole liability and everything, and that narrows down the list. If we assume the water company employees and their families, then that gives you an idea of
Yeah.
the quantity is all I'm getting at. The quantity of blankets, the quantity of food for like 3 days, the quantity of water.
I think you do all that plus maybe a little bit more like absolute emergency stuff for people, and since we're paying with the town's money, So
I would
mean,
look
think-
at on the Red Cross and see what they have
What they
listed on as
suggest,
a
yeah.
red, as an emergency preparedness thing, and
Well, I went to a CERT meeting and they had some ideas.
They're
like that.
supposed to be doing stuff too,
Right,
right?
yeah,
So I
uh-huh.
mean, we don't want to reinvent the wheel for the, like,
Community.
and we don't know what CERT's doing. We probably need to ask CERT exactly what they're. We tried to do that, but we didn't really get a good answer at the
Yeah.
water company meeting. I think the
no.
all water company.
Okay,
meeting.
so roughly, we're just gonna figure that number of people.
Yeah,
I would say that number of people plus
10.
10, 20, just like if somebody was absolutely, like
Well, here's the
sick
deal,
and needed
if you
stuff.
allot 1,500 this year, and then you allot 1,500 next year, you're only gonna have to replace water.
Right, not the food and
The
not
other
the,
stuff you're not gonna have to replace,
Right,
because if you buy the
exactly.
correct food, it's got a shelf life of like
like
20 years.
Yeah.
So it's only gonna be a one-time purchase for
Right.
that stuff.
You know what? I saw some water that said 20-year water. too.
There is, there's
They
cans of
do
water.
have those. They have. It's not cans. It's like pouches.
Well, there's cans that they sell at Ace, and it's survival water,
Yeah.
and it
So-
lasts for years.
So we should probably be doing that.
But it costs a lot more
No.
than a gallon of water.
Yeah, but wouldn't, my thing is, that even if it costs a lot more, if it's gonna last for 10 years,
Then you're saving money.
You're saving money if you're having to rotate water every
And
year.
give it away.
Yeah, because that's what I
And
was,
give,
was not,
that's what I'm saying, you're
yeah,
spending
we're spending
money.
that's
$1,000
why the
on
20-year
water
water.
every year, that's,
20-year water.
So can you
redundant.
guys come up with a list, since we have to have another meeting this month, and I don't think it would be like that, I mean, that meeting is part of our, well, we're not getting reimbursed right now anyway, because we don't have the grant, we don't know if we're getting reimbursed for that meeting or
So
not.
we're
But I
frozen
think-
because there's no funds, right?
Yeah, but I think we can, put this, on the agenda for the 28th.
Because
And
there's no
if-
funds from where?
No funds right now. No, but are we being reimbursed right now
Or are
because
we
there's
shutting
no
down?
money?
Oh, yeah, we still haven't been issued that money, the cash yet, but the planning money,
But
Yeah.
theoretically, we'll be reimbursed for it.
well, in theory.
Is there for
But
sure?
again, see, that's the deal.
Our meeting's
no.
on the 28th.
And for us,
It's
again,
on the 28th.
we can't,
Another meeting,
Are we
again,
having a meeting on the 28th?
yes.
we can't include other stuff in that meeting if we do have it anyway, cause then we will for sure not get paid.
yeah, me
for it.
too.
Right now, yeah. Okay.
Right, but we include something small like that. We just
Oh
can't,
my
we can't
God.
take up much.
Super
meeting.
small,
Yeah,
Because
this,
they get irritated when
right,
we
but
start.
emergency stuff's pretty small.
What, and if we don't, that, she'll cancel it, she'll send us a notice, but
Yeah, I was given agenda stuff.
Okay, so we're out of order again.
Again?
again,
Always.
$100 for 50 gallons, $120 for 50 gallon set. So you don't have to replace it as much. That's on Amazon,
how long is
10
it?
years?
5 years.
up to 5 years.
They've got a whole bunch of survival stuff that
So I
goes
think,
online
so,
too.
yeah, so if we could just take another week and maybe all of us can look stuff up and bring it so that we all have.
But Brahma can't laugh at
The only reason I haven't done it before is because we never pinned it down to what we actually want. If you say, look, this is how much we're willing to spend, bring me a list of what we could get for this amount of money, it's a lot more feasible than just put together a list and kind of some ideas,
Yeah.
because it all is dependent on quantity of what you buy on pricing.
Right, well, I'm saying somewhere around 1,500 or
So
2,000.
say $1,500, bring
Yeah.
me a list, I'll bring you a list of $1,500 worth of stuff, and you guys say yes or no, or we want more of this and less of that. And then that makes it easier.
And add it to the agenda for the 28th.
Yeah, and it should just duplicate what you would normally have in an emergency supply.
Or just
kit.
add it to the agenda for the next regular meeting, because it's not pressing that we have to get done.
Well, who knows if it's pressing or not.
I'm just saying that, you know,
priorities, right?
yeah, if we don't have to have a meeting, that would be great.
Oh, I mean,
Not for
we
me.
wouldn't have just that meeting, but if we're
That's
already
true.
having a meeting, it makes sense to be able to move
I
forward.
get it.
on
I get both opinions,
Okay,
Okay.
but it's not subject.
let's get moving, it's
So we're
8
carrying
o'clock
this.
on Valentine's.
Yeah.
Are we carrying this over?
Do I hear a motion?
We don't need a motion necessarily, but are we
Okay.
carrying it
So-
over to the
Yes.
next
Yes,
agenda?
we'll carry it over to the
Meeting on the
28th
28th.
unless there is no meeting.
If there's a meeting on the 28th, I believe we should carry it over. If there's no meeting, then we certainly wouldn't meet just for that.
As long as that's the only thing we cover. We can't add nothing except for annexation and the one topic. Remember, they get
Right.
mad if you,
Rama, did you take the letters out of here for the bank?
No.
The ones you were gonna take?
No,
Well, then I did
that's okay, we just,
Okay. New business, we need to fill out our 700 form again.
Jeez.
Are
So-
you
Seems
serious?
like we're doing that every other month.
No, it's every year.
It seems like we just did it when we did
It
our.
does seem like we-
When we went to.
Yes,
get our-
but you still have to do an annual. It's
Am I sounding like an unruly child? I am, huh?
No, but we did one for voting.
Oh, you won't have your
Yeah.
cards?
Yeah, we had to do it to us. So isn't ours
That
good
help?
for 2018, 2019?
Oh, yeah,
The
look
people
at
who
you.
were in the
That's
election?
an election
Smarties.
filing, this is an
At
annual
least you didn't get
filing.
dum-dum.
So no, it's different
My kids
because
gave me
this
that.
gets filed here. The
Wow.
one you did
I
is
brought some
filed at the
licorice.
elections office.
Where?
So
It's in
it's a
the kitchen.
different.
Oh.
Some Twizzlers.
Okay,
I'll take one.
can I?
Yes, go, I'm listening.
Do we print these out every time? Or is this us printing it out, or do you get these?
Oh, it's all the several copies? No, I print them.
Okay,
They just send me.
because I don't think we need, I mean, at least for me, I'm disabled, I'm never going to have to fill out anything but the front cover, so it's a waste of paper to fill out this big, huge thing every time, because
Right.
I only ever do the cover sheet.
The reason I do it, it's my personal cover, my behind. As your, here's another hat, as your filing officer, it's my responsibility
To
to
give us the
provide
whole
Do you
you
want some
thing.
candy?
all the information you need to fill out the 700.
That way you can't
Okay.
say you didn't
Because
have the
it changes
information.
Yeah, that's true.
annually, and I don't
Okay.
want it. That's why I'll never fill it out for you. Number 14, the folder in the back of your books is your information. In the pocket is the forms to fill out, but I gave each of you your one from
Old
last year
one.
so that you have it for reference.
What's the schedule thing? We have to do that too?
Do what?
The schedule, schedule one, schedule A1 and schedule,
Well, that's up to you to decide if you have any.
You have to, it's different for every single person, because if you own property that affects or you have a business that affects your interest in the water company, as I used to complain about, that people were not filling this out, so they weren't disclosing the fact that they actually had interest in the community, and that matters to people. So if yes, you have to fill it out according to what your personal financial.
Can I just change the
I
date?
have no finances. Nothing to see here.
If you're like me, it's easy. I don't own.
If you own a business, if you make money, if you have a spouse that owns a business or makes money.
But if nothing changed from last year, you
Rental
just
income.
copied the last year's, right?
Yeah.
That's what I give
Yes.
to you. If you didn't purchase a business, purchase a rental property, change your.
And your business doesn't, like, if you have a business or a rental property in Lake of the Woods, that does not apply, because it's too
Where do you
far. It
fill
has
it
to
out?
be
Where-
within a certain amount of miles.
in the
From the
folder.
district.
Very back.
Until we annex.
Well,
Until we annex.
But it's
Yeah.
in the pocket of your
The
folder.
folder.
Oh.
Yours is,
It's the one that actually says
Okay.
Form 700.
then if you go
And
back a
flip to
couple,
the cover page.
3 or 4 pages will be
Yeah.
your new 700 form.
Yeah, the 4th page in.
Okay.
And if absolutely nothing has changed and your last one was accurate, you can use your last one as a reference to find it.
And our last one, you checked, all of them were accurate, right?
And is this our last one on top?
Yeah.
Accurate how? What's it?
Our
Well,
last
Tiffany,
ones were
you're
fine,
amazing.
right?
The cover information
Yes.
Yes,
is
the cover
correct.
page.
Your personal.
Yeah, I'm not saying
She
that.
cannot
Your
attest to
personal-
that.
Yes, I know. I'm
Yes, the
saying,
agency name
I'm
was
saying the
correct.
agency
This is-
name
yeah.
and how it's filled out was
Done.
correct.
Look at you show off.
He is.
Mr. did all his classes online.
Mr. I did all my stuff in a
Yeah.
timely
He has-
manner.
He has
Teacher's
no
pet.
life, that's why.
Yeah, I have no life.
Okay, now that's just pitiful.
You
I
have
have no
dogs
life.
out, you have dogs.
You see, I have no life. I'm here on Valentine's Day at a board meeting.
Aren't
Wow.
we all? Becky, yours, I will make a second copy because this one has to go to JPA.
My
Okay.
8-year-old daughter wanted me to
The copy's okay?
inform you guys of her displeasure of this meeting on Valentine's Day.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
She said sorry.
Fraser Park PUD boundaries?
Yeah.
Jurisdiction of office?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Who told you that you could be absent?
I don't know. But like I told her, I said, that's what I get paid to do. So I will be there.
Well, tell her I pushed for her last month, so.
I was a good boy. I left a vase of flowers from the nursery on the counter for my wife.
Oh.
So
So you can go home tonight.
I almost didn't. I almost didn't leave nothing.
Cheap insurance, brother.
Because she said, well, we never do anything anyway, except for
Never mind,
get
get
together
that part
with the
out.
family.
Yeah.
No. Shit, we've been together 18 years, bro.
Hey, you need to take your sexual harassment class.
I'm overdue. I'm overdue, Brahma.
And just dispose of the old one.
Yeah, you can, it's a copy, you can put it in there.
That's easy enough. Thank God I'm not independently wealthy where I have to fill the rest of that out.
Right?
Be nice to have to
Would you
turn
be
it-
here if you were independently wealthy?
Maybe,
Maybe, huh? That's
Maybe.
nice. That's nice to hear.
maybe, yeah. I might still wanna do something. Get mean.
I know. I'm one.
Yeah, you just get bored, you know? You're used to going to work every day for all your life. And then what do you do?
I'm trying to come up with something, brother.
I'd like to be able to work only when I wanted to,
You
though.
just put, total number of pages on
Oh,
Oh, I think I missed to put that. on mine.
Where do you put that?
it. In the
Oh, I see, right here.
dark box,
I
how many pages?
didn't put it in mine.
No, you didn't.
does anybody want a card from our new auditor partner,
As long as Tiffany has one.
Tiffany?
Where am I putting? Oh, right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I liked her, by the way. Seemed smart.
Concise.
Yeah, I like that. I like concise. I was worried you'd get longer winded, but it didn't.
I think that was sexual.
Kinda hope not.
I mean, not saying, but
Yeah.
you know, like, I thought she'd talk longer.
Can we return to the financials for
Oh,
1
sure.
second?
Yes.
The bank reconciliation sheets that we get, we print,
Four right now.
4 right now. And I'm thinking for the board, people wanna view the
I don't even look at it.
so.
Yeah, I know.
If the board is okay with that, I just wanna make sure that, because I don't want anybody to feel like they're not able to get the
Can we do-
information.
Lisa's always,
Two? Just so I can, cause I never can look at it I mean, it takes me a while, so I usually take it home and look at it to see if I catch stuff.
Well, then he can have it.
You take it home after the fact?
Oh, I take it home.
Yeah, so you can take it home, because I come during the day and go
I
online
mean, I'll
and
try
do
to
my
come
thing.
early and look at it too, but sometimes I don't, but I look back at it to see if there's,
We do kill a lot of trees.
yeah, I'm good with that.
Mhm.
So everybody's in agreement with that?
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even know she was doing 4
just
because
the
she was just doing 1 for a while when I was treasurer, but now you're treasurer, so now then she
Yeah.
did 2, but who are the other 2, you?
I get one for the board packet.
Yeah.
And I've
So there would
been
still be
putting one to
2.
share, but just at my classes, the clerk of the board classes, they say be careful about not providing information to every board member.
But
So
if
they'd be
there's
silly not to.
one that we're all sharing, because
Right, yeah, if everybody's okay
So
sharing
everybody's
it and everybody
agreeing to
says
share
it, then-
this?
yeah.
Okay.
So you want 2?
No
No,
worries.
one for the
board and one for the board.
Right. What was the 4th one?
2 to
was
get
just the
ready
one
and-
that was-
Yeah, I do, I had you guys share one
Yeah.
in between each desk. But if you don't even need that many, I'll
No.
do the 2. It'll help, they're 50 pages each.
Yeah. I didn't even know you were doing that many. 'Cause I
That's
thought
just
we
an
were
extra
doing
expense
2.
that we end up throwing paper away,
Right.
so I would like to eliminate that. Okay, we go, are we done filling out 700 yet?
Well,
Right.
Brahma's done.
I'm
I'm
done.
done.
Only Brahma's done.
Okay, you just need to sign yours and we're done. Okay. Discuss and vote on resolution
You signed
FP
mine, right?
2019-0214-01, the annual rotation of board positions.
I read it, it looks good.
So this is a second resolution, or this has both the president, yeah, so this,
Yes.
so I was just talking about how we had the president, but we didn't talk about how we
Mhm.
rotate the other positions. So this now has the
Yeah,
president
it's
and
been
the other
changed,
position.
yeah.
It's been changed, and
It looks accurate.
It looks accurate to me.
Yeah,
And the main thing was this one down here where it says, the red one that says, resolve that after completion of 1 or 2 year terms in the position of president, vice president, treasurer, or secretary of the board of directors again.
Yep, that was what I asked for.
Okay, I make a motion that we approve this resolution, FP 2019-0214-01.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Tiffany, do you want all this paperwork
Motion
back?
carried.
That's
Just
Just
top
your
sheet.
top sheet.
5-0, motion carried, 5-0.
And not the top sheet of the copy?
Just leave it all back in there.
No, that was just
Yeah,
for
we-
my use.
Right.
Thank you, brother.
You can hand me the new one and everything else we'll throw for the recycling.
Okay, where we at now?
What is this good
Okay.
for?
The
Oh,
next,
Terry?
Yes.
Another form of ID and maybe getting you up here if, in an emergency.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
we
would work,
go,
huh?
huh?
Can you pass this to our
Yes.
I
lovely
just wanted to let you
Absolutely.
know, so this is now the new 500, it replaces 500. It says so in the resolution, that
Yeah.
it replaces any previous resolutions. So from now on, the banking resolution,
it's
everything
going to
will
refer to
all
this
one.
one instead of
and not
500.
Nice.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. Discussion and vote on resolution 503 and 534 regarding the USDA bonds. Now, this is where you were talking with the auditors, right?
No, wait a minute, did we skip?
No, that's not down on there. You're the only one that has a copy. We didn't, because they were so.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so the issue with this is that I didn't, okay, I don't know if Jerry, were you on the board? when we- I don't think so, on the first resolution,
Back
2004
in the day,
or something.
12 years ago?
Yeah.
I think that's when I started.
I'm a glutton for
2004?
punishment. So
Aren't you guys tired of me
both
yet?
of these bonds are a little weird. I mean, both of these resolutions are a little weird. What happened is we paid Nossman or whatever their name is. We paid a company to do the bond for us because it's a big, huge correct. And I've read it, but I never really realized like the auditors caught something that I didn't catch. So they're both wrong. They both have mistakes in them. So I don't know how to deal with this because really we shouldn't be rewriting it. It should really have come correctly from the bond maker who's guaranteeing that this is correct.
Right.
But I don't know because now it's been 2004 was this bond or 2005. So you know, we're in 2019. I don't know if they're even. I don't know how it works. I don't know what
Well, I
happens
would call
if
them
there's
up
a
and say,
problem.
hey,
Yeah, so I think that maybe we should call them and say that we found
So-
an issue.
So here's like one of the,
what's an example?
an example. The example is in the resolution 503, it says, if, for the replacement fund, monies in the reserve fund shall be used and withdrawn by the district solely for the purpose of paying debt service due hereunder in the event no other monies of the district are lawfully available thereof. And then over here,
The issues are with the wording for the reserve fund and the replacement fund because basically it's saying that we can borrow money, but
Wait, so that was
USDA
the
says that
wrong
we
one.
have to ask their permission to borrow
Okay.
money.
okay, here it says, okay, the district shall establish and maintain, this is reserve and replacement fund. So it talks about us doing the 1/10. but then when you go over on the replacement fund part on this one, it says in here, all monies in the replacement fund will be used by the district for the purpose of paying the cost of emergency repairs or maintenance of the water system, which
It's not the whole water system, it's only the water system that was approved by the USDA.
to the
It's
extent
part
of the facility,
loan.
to extend the facilities of the water system or for the replacement of short-lived assets which have a useful life significantly less than the maturity of the bonds. I mean,
But there's also a mistake in there where it says like 1/10, but we're not 1/10 per month, and it's 1/10
oh
per
yeah,
year.
yeah, and that's the other
So,
mistake.
so we're not in compliance if you read our resolution. It's, and the weird thing is in the bond, everything refers to the resolution. So the wording in the bond doesn't have any wording in it. This is the wording of the bond because it refers to the resolution, but the resolution's wrong. And then the same thing in 2011, it refers to the resolution, but and it's like really, it's tiny stuff, but it's important because one of them is the 1/10 every month, which
Yeah, it
we
says
don't
every
do,
month.
we do once a year. And so that definitely needs to be fixed. And I mean, if, I guess they allowed us, I guess we could fix it, but I really think we should talk to the bond issuer before we do anything.
Absolutely.
And then,
I'm just wondering what their response is gonna be 15 years later.
yeah, but we also pay them.
By the
because
way,
Wait a minute, we paid them.
this was approved by the USDA and everybody, but now we want you to make these
I know, but
typos.
we're still paying
No,
on
that's
these
what I'm
bonds.
wondering.
I mean, the bonds haven't matured. They're like 30,
Yeah.
40 years.
But we're not
Yeah, that's
just
the
paying
bond,
an
but-
extra 10% a month,
This
are we?
is the bond. No.
I mean, you're not gonna pay a tenth.
A
That's
month?
a
A
month.
tenth of the-
That's
Then we'd have
No
no
way.
idea.
Yeah.
God, yeah, we.
So,
yeah,
Does it even say who wrote that? Who's-
NOSMA, it's
It's on the bond, right?
it's on the bond.
okay,
book.
this is what it
NOSMA
says. Let
and
me read
government
it.
or something like that.
It says, okay, a reserve fund in the amount at least equal to average annual debt debt service payable each fiscal year. Such reserve to be accumulated at the rate of at least 1/10 of the reserve requirement each year until the reserve requirement is reached. So it's like you have to have like a year's payment, okay? The shall on the first day of each month deposit in the reserve fund the amount necessary to cause the required accumulations in the reserve fund to occur, and once the reserve requirement is achieved, to maintain the amount on thereof. Monies in the reserve fund shall be used, this is resolution 530, this is the later one, withdrawn by directly solely for the purpose of paying debt service, and no other monies of the district are lawfully.
So the problem is that one of the resolutions says that the money can be used to repair stuff, but in the other resolution, is only for debt service in the reserve, and that's correct. In the reserve fund, that money isn't supposed to be used to repair. That money is supposed to be for debt service. If we went bankrupt and we were insolvent, then they would take that money to pay our debt. So, but the replacement fund, the money is to be used to replace whatever we got in the grant loan. So any of the wells, or one well, any of the tanks, whatever, but it doesn't say that. It says anything in the water system, and that's incorrect also. And then it doesn't say that we need to ask permission of the USDA, but the USDA sent us an email saying,
We have to ask permission.
kind of, yeah. I mean, they didn't completely say that, but
I said, can I spend the money? I'm requesting permission to spend the money, and he goes, well, let me pass it up to my
supervisor. So
supervisor,
it wasn't
and then
just
they
like
sent us
yes.
a letter. See, the thing is, we're 100% in compliance with everything that it should say. So I don't know how you ever got that right if it's been wrong all this time.
Yeah.
Because I read it right somehow.
I mean,
It's wrong?
it's been right ever since, and we're in compliance.
Because I think they explained it to when we did the 2005 one. The USDA.
Oh yeah,
explained it to us.
here's the paragraph right here on resolution 503. It says, monies in the reserve fund may also be used and withdrawn for the purpose of paying the cost of repair or replacement of structural elements of the project to extend that the cost thereof is not reimbursed by insurance. or for such lawful use of the district, provided that such use is approved by the government in writing in advance. But then if you go the paragraph above it, it says monies in the reserve fund shall be used and withdrawn by the district solely for the purpose of paying debt service.
Why don't you make it easy? Why don't you highlight your discrepancies and let us send it to Dan Johnson and ask him?
Who's Dan
Because
Johnson?
this is torture.
Oh,
at
He's the
this
guy who
point,
gave
and
us all the
I'm
money
like,
from the USDA. He's the USDA
Right,
guy.
but he's not gonna change, I still think we probably need to ask because USDA asked us to pay for a bond person.
No, I
They
get
don't
it.
do
I'm just saying that, but shouldn't the USDA know that we're also changing it? Since this has
Yes.
been approved by the USDA, we should
Yes.
say, hey, we found these discrepancies and now we need to know
discrepancies,
how to change them
Should-
because
should
now.
And the legalese, maybe we're not catching something that we should be, and maybe it is correct.
Yeah, you might say, hey, it's easy, it's just, this countermands this and it's fine.
But I don't think it's that simple
Or-
because
or-
it's a bond.
Again, I'm just saying, I'm not saying not to do anything, I'm just saying we gotta let him know too, because.
I think in the order of things that we should talk to the bond maker first because they guarantee. I mean, you're paying them $25,000 or whatever we paid them. We pay them a lot of money to do a bond,
Are they still
which
in
is still
business?
active. I believe so because they did our 2011 bond too. I mean, they did both of them.
Good.
So I think
We're gonna throw it back to the baker.
maybe we just need to.
But still, can one of you guys highlight your
Yeah.
discrepancies so Tiffany knows exactly what you're concerned with?
Yes.
What was it that the auditors pointed out that?
The auditors asked us what should they go by, the bond or the resolution,
Yeah.
and
You said yes.
Well, when we read it, we went, wait a minute, the bond is the resolution, the bond
Right,
refers
so-
to the resolution, you have to go by both. And there's a discrepancy, that's why they asked us. So they caught the discrepancy between what one said and what the other said.
Mhm.
So,
Kind of gives us a reason to have them as a,
yeah, I mean, it's amazing that they caught, I mean, but they only caught it this year, it's kinda interesting, they've been looking at it for years.
oh,
Well,
then
maybe
maybe
that's
that,
because the guy that's been doing it is a tax guy versus the government
Right.
lady.
Right.
Well, I have been the same guy doing our audits since 2004. You know,
Okay.
obviously, since we met, since we were in compliance, it wasn't an issue for money-wise with them.
Okay, so can we
I don't see
move
her
forward, but what we
Not
need
at
to
all?
do
Oh,
is
yeah.
that you and I need to just
I said
make sure that we're highlighting
His?
bond person, and then we need to also probably send
Yeah.
this to Dan Johnson. Are you guys okay with that?
Okay, do we need a motion?
No, so
Yeah.
Director Nyman and I are gonna get together, highlight stuff, give it to Tiffany, she's gonna contact the bond maker.
Yes.
Ask what to
I
do,
love
and
it.
also send a copy
you,
with the
thank you,
information to
thank you.
Dan Johnson.
And then it'll come back on,
We'll include Dan in the initial.
on the
email.
agenda if we
Yeah.
need to change, if we need to
okay.
approve a resolution
That sounds
or.
good.
Right,
change.
and then we
Well-
should carry it over to the next regular
Regular
meeting
meeting.
in case we have to vote on it.
Okay.
Yes. I agree.
Alright, good.
Got you.
Okay. Discussion and vote on bylaws and rules and regulations.
So this is only that one number, right, that's changed?
Yes.
Number 6.
Number
Yeah.
6 is adding the wording from the new resolution into the bylaws.
Oh, okay.
And it changes Appendix A from Resolution 500 to the new
Resolution number.
the addendum. not the new.
Just lose that.
Okay. Gary?
Okay. Lisa?
So I move that we adopt the revised, amended resolution for the bylaws, rules, and regulations for February 14th, 2019, with the new wording.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Very
Yay,
good.
yay.
5-5. Motion carried, 5-0-0. Review and approve meeting minutes for January
bless you.
10th,
Thank you.
2019.
Wait. Oh,
What?
What?
Say what?
I don't
Well-
see the little blurb here that says, I just missed that. I don't see the little part on 6 that says that you put on the,
The 1 year thing?
yeah, the after 1 year.
Well, see, 6 is
So
my
it's the addendum A.
paraphrasing
Yeah.
because I'm not putting the entire resolution as number 6. I'm kind of paraphrasing it.
So it puts the resolution in there, so it's,
Okay.
Unless, I mean, if you want something else added to it, I just kind of took some of the highlighted points for number 6. And that's, yeah, that's why.
And it
the whole
refers to the
is in there
resolution.
right
Okay. I was gonna say maybe in print, yeah, that's okay.
Are we okay to go on?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
already motioned on it.
Okay.
I just realized.
Review and approve, the meeting minutes for January 10th, 2019.
I didn't find any mistakes.
I didn't
I
find
didn't
any
either.
mistakes either.
Okay, I make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes for Thursday, January 10th, 2019, with the ability of amendments or
Typos.
typos.
What are
The ability of amendments and things.
The ability to change.
All in favor?
Aye.
500, good job.
Retired.
Okay. Vote, on future agenda items. Was there anything,
I don't think we had any, did we?
unless
Well,
this
for the
gentleman
month of
wants to
May.
come, do you want us to put the pond thing, discovery kind of thing on the agenda?
I don't know why we would need to do that at this point. Until we get more
That was gonna be
information.
my answer too, unless you guys actually have something that you're gonna take a proactive stance on. I don't have anything that I can immediately present to you.
Okay.
Doesn't mean that I won't in future meetings,
Yeah,
but,
no, no.
Oh, no, that's fine.
You
but
come
if
back
the board
anytime you
itself
want to.
decided that it wanted to, you know, spearhead
Happy Johnny.
something or be proactive on something, I'd be more than happy
Yeah, I
to.
know.
Unfortunately, liability is,
Okay, so with that said, I'd be more apt to say, let's see what happens in the
Yeah.
future, and I'll come
No,
back and let
I
you
get
guys
that.
know and have something more definitive.
Surveying the easement.
Okay. anything
I
else?
think everybody decided
Anything
to
else?
do it.
Right
No.
now, I have an agenda for the meeting on the 28th.
Okay,
So plan on it. If anything changes, if I hear different, I'll send out the cancellation.
Email that we don't respond to, right?
the,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, never respond all to the emails.
that's
Oh,
for
okay.
me.
Till the resident requests it again.
Okay,
Yeah.
adjournment, 8:34.
Did you make a move?
Well,
Did you
Oh,
move?
I need
Got a
a
motion?
motion. No, I'm ready to go home.
Get
I will
some
make a
clarity
motion
on what you're doing.
that we end our meeting.
Do I hear a second?
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
500. 8:34.
Nice. Good job, everybody.
God bless you.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy VD.
You don't have to take. Tipsy, do you need?
Valentine's Day.